The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Is it ever? Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who's readying his super bark. Welcome, Jacob.
Ruff.
That's
Wait.
very super.
No, it's not. Hold on. Ruff. Okay, I thought my stretch was louder. Ruff.
Dealets, what did you do? You did nothing.
Sure.
What happened to his Tourette's?
Yeah, exactly. Ruff.
You didn't do anything.
Right. Ruff. I sound like a chihuahua. What happened?
We don't want Jacob the rat dog. We want Jacob the big booming wolf dog.
Not ruff instead of ruff. Wow.
No, I'm the cat. Did you forget this?
Apparently, momentary
I
amnesia for
hate
some
Mondays.
reason.
I love lasagna. I'm basically Garfield.
That is true.
I'm even fat.
Yeah, it says the guy who's wearing a wolf t-shirt and sounds like a chihuahua. Ruff.
You little rat dog.
I'll bite your ankle. Why, thank you, let me introduce our co-host, a man who, A, did he actually push the button this time? And B, let me get my notes.
No, you're the one who's always got to be looking at the notes.
That is true. So,
Not me.
no, of course not. Unless his monitor goes off and he's like, oh my God, what happened?
That's just technical difficulties.
That is true.
And I'd rather have that than what we were dealing with before.
Oh my
So-
gosh, you're not kidding. But, I'll start that over with, because I got derailed, go figure. Why, thank you, let me introduce our co-host. A man who, A, did he finally push the right button this time? Or B, so you think you're a super cow?
A super cow is a girl. I am not a girl. Also,
couldn't
I
help
am
it.
not saving chicken and not fighting the big red guy. And I'm waiting to if you. I'm curious if you even know what I am referencing.
Actually, no, I don't.
Okay, there was a cartoon on Cartoon Network
Okay.
back around the time of early Dexter's of the good era of Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff
I think I know
Girls
what you're talking
called
about now.
Cow and Chicken.
Cow and chicken, yeah, because I never watched that.
It had a segment where the I am Weasel and I are Baboon, and Weasel was voiced by none other than Michael Dorn, aka Worf.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But Cow, the sister between Cow and Chicken,
Okay.
and the cow, obviously, she had a superhero persona called Super Cow.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Anescate! I don't even know if I'm saying that right. If I just cussed in Spanish, I apologize.
Oh gosh.
I don't know. But I am not Super Cow.
Either or.
Tonight, we are jumping back on the Disney train. It's been
Yes.
it's been a hot
It
minute.
has.
And yeah, we did just do 101 Dalmatians.
We
but
did.
We are making up for the fact that we did one Disney movie last year.
That is true.
The only one we did last year was Song of the South.
that is, yeah, you're not kidding.
We
Oh
didn't
my-
even realize we did that until like right before we started scheduling this year.
That is true. And also, I think last year we were trying to be more diverse when it comes to the amount of what we're doing.
Yes,
Like,
and also we had a
reviewing anyway.
we had a month-long break in there. Which
That is true for
kind
certain-
of messed with the schedule a
certain
little
goober
bit.
who got married.
Right, so it's all good.
Put a ring on it.
But you're not a single lady.
Yeah, thankfully. I was a
neither
single
is
guy
your
at one
wife.
point. No longer, by the grace of God.
Anyway, tonight we are reviewing one of your favorite films.
Yes. Actually, watch this one in theaters.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so Bolt. So this was, I watched this in theaters when it came out because I was like, huh, because it'd be like,
well, do you want me to go ahead and play the spoiler free
Yes,
stuff?
yes,
I didn't
go
know
ahead.
I didn't know what you were going into.
you were jumping ahead.
I was just letting you introduce the film before we did spoiler, but we can go ahead and jump into spoiler free.
Yeah.
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
We are professional podcasters.
Oh yeah, you're not kidding. So Disney's Bolt that came out in 2008. 2008. It was during the what Drew had mentioned earlier was the experimental era, where they were experimenting with CGI and getting away from traditional animation. You know,
Nah.
pencil and paper. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. I said that before the show,
That is true. You did.
so that will confuse the people who are just listening to the edit.
True.
Secondly, I wanted people to be clear. You said era, not error,
Yeah.
because it did sound like you said experimental error, which
I probably did.
I can just see how that would confuse people.
Yes. But anyways, be like, this is one of those films within the Disney canon where people completely forget it because it's the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. No, it's the experimental era.
Yeah, it's the experimental era.
Unless it's like Lilo and Stitch or
but Lilo and Stitch was
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, that's the early aughts.
Yeah. Unless it was one of the big ones. And
right.
Man, this is not a small one.
No, it's not.
It is in the midst of where people weren't paying attention.
That is true. But overall, be like, I think, well, yeah, this is it's a hidden gem within the early 2000s of the, this error. Am I saying that right? Error.
Error is when you make a mistake.
Error. This era of Disney.
I'm going to regret that.
You are going to regret it. Thank you very much. Era. But this has turned into one of my favorites of that Disney era. Oh my gosh, this is going to be bad. Either or. It was one of my early favorites in this time period of Disney. Mm-hmm. And I saw it in theaters. Well, I'd heard about it, I think Disney Channel, because obviously Miley Cyrus, who was kind of a big thing at that point with Hannah Montana. And I was like, I saw a trailer and I was like, this looks fun, because they primarily just took from the very beginning of the film and little snippets here and there from throughout. But it looked amazing. It's like, you know what? I'm going to watch this in theaters. And so I did. And I am not going to beat around the bush. The very end of the film, I took a little clip from that and put it on our Facebook page. And I think like people automatically thought, it's like, oh my gosh, this scene itself brings back memories because it's such an emotional point. And I'm not gonna lie, I teared up. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a tear jerker of a moment in this film. And I was like, okay, you got me. It's a good story. It is I wouldn't say coming of age, but it's, kind of a character, very great character development story. And it just has a lot of heart. It's fun. It doesn't really, to me personally, the film doesn't have a lot of fluff in the film per se, because it has this very, very straight and linear story of what they're trying to do. And I think they do it excellently. It's not a flawless film at all, but it is a gorgeous film for its time period, its story, actors, whatever. It's done beautifully. So that is my spoiler-free thoughts on Disney's Bolt.
So this is my second viewing of the film. I also originally saw this in theaters.
Really?
But that's the only time I watched it, because it's like, oh, it's a Disney film. I never got to watch these in theaters as a kid. I have time on my hands now that I'm in college. I'm going to go watch a Disney film in the theater. I mean, this is the era where it's like, oh, Disney. The only thing they're good for right now is Kingdom Hearts.
Of course.
Kingdom Hearts 2 was coming out at the time.
That makes sense. I've got to make sure this isn't a level in the movie. in the game, of course.
Well, Bolt isn't in any of the
I
games yet.
wish.
But
I wish.
they can make it work. But for whatever
could.
reason, this is one of those that is just this came out between like the big ones, which is where the new movies end up usually.
Right.
And the older films take up the spots in a lot of the older games. Anyway.
Yes.
Mostly I did it at the time because, you know, I had the time on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, this is not... I don't like it as much as you like it.
Gotcha.
I'll put it that way.
That
it's
is
not
fair.
bad, but you can definitely tell this was in an era where Disney was experimenting in many cases, especially when I did some actual looking into the production on this. This crew did not have the time to polish this.
No, they didn't.
They basically had to start over from scratch with a year to make this
Yeah,
film.
they had less than a year to make it.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute.
Uncanny. Yeah.
But you know, this is around the era of Meet the Robinsons and Home on the Range. This is all right before Tangled really would take the world by storm. And of course, I didn't see Tangled in theaters. Why would I have done that?
Oh my gosh, that was an experience.
But yeah, this was at a time when DreamWorks really was the rising star of things, and so Disney was doing their best to keep up, and that's kind of how this feels. It's like, yeah, they're Disney's trying, but they're not succeeding very well. Not to say this is a bad film, but
Yeah.
this is definitely a different type of film than what I think of as a Disney film. This feels more like this in a way it just feels like a different type of film than what I'm used to seeing from Disney. That's the best way I know how to put it. It's not bad. I think if you like dogs, if you like superheroes, if you like dogs thinking they're superheroes, or you just like fun movies where a dog becomes the hero he actually thought he was, but
Yeah.
by the end of it. Or you just like talking animals. Go check this out. It's a fun little film.
It is a good film.
I do suggest it. Is it like the top of my list? No. But because this just doesn't fill that niche for me.
Fair.
But yeah, it's a good film. Go watch it.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Yeah, so interesting fact be like, yeah, Disney's Bolt came out in 2008, so it would be another 2 years until Tangled would come out.
Yeah.
So this is kind of
this is like film 48 in the canon.
Yeah, this is
Tangled is 50.
yeah, because this is 40. Yeah, 40. Yeah, this is 48.
Right.
think.
So I don't remember what is Home on the Range the one that's in between?
No, because the second
Or is that the new Winnie the Pooh film?
I'm looking. Give me 1 second. I'm actually looking at the chronology. Oh, because Princess and the Frog would come out in 2009.
Oh, okay. I am getting my numbers mixed
Yeah, because
up.
that was kind of it was like the Dark Ages in the 80s, because then you had oh come on, Radigan. What's that movie called?
That's 80s.
Yes,
That's,
I know. I'm trying to use the comparison.
Yeah, it's Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah, Great Mouse Detective.
That we're coming back to here soon.
Yeah.
And for a rewind episode.
Yeah, we are. But it's like, yeah, it's very similar, because you had the Princess and the Frog, which is they went back and did traditional animation for that one, and then you had Tangled. It's the same. It's almost the same thing, because you have it's very similar to like the Great Mouse Detective. Be like, it's kind of a similar thing, because you had that. You had oh, come on. Either or.
Okay.
I'm going to sound like a ninja.
Okay, hang on.
Sound like a ninja.
I am helping you. Give me a second.
Yes.
So Tangled, actually, which we knew was number 50.
Yeah, it's number 50. Came out 2010.
So right behind that is Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
Which is 49. Bolt is 48. Mm-hmm. And the one I was thinking of, Home on the Range, is even farther back.
Yes.
But I will tell you, I have not seen, as of right now, I have not seen the films between Lilo and Stitch and Meet the Robinsons.
Oh, okay.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 films.
Yeah.
I have not seen of the modern Disney era.
Yeah.
And by
But,
modern, I mean the era in which I was alive for.
Right. But yeah, like we've covered like several parts of errors throughout the Disney.
Oh yeah, we're nowhere near finishing.
No,
the
good.
Disney
I
era.
know that's going to take years to do.
At some point, we'll have to watch this one.
Where's that from again?
I think it's the Three Caballeros.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, either or. Be like this. This kind of set off a new era in Disney when it came to, you had Tangled, then you had Frozen would come out another 2 years later, and that just set up an entire chain of a new era in Disney. Very similar to what Little Mermaid did.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Anyways.
Let's go ahead and jump into our spoiler-filled thoughts.
Yes.
And we will get to digging into this film more.
So, yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Bolt. Listener discretion is advised. Bolt was originally written and directed by Chris Williams, who would go on to direct Big Hero 6. And it was also directed by Byron Howard, who would go on to direct Zootopia. And it was also written by Dan Fogelman.
Okay.
There is an uncredited, based on the concept by Chris Sanders.
Yes.
A.K.A. Stitch. And the director of Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
Because this was all originally his idea.
Yeah.
But John Lasseter changed everything.
Yeah.
And this is the movie that Chris Sanders quit Disney on and then went over to DreamWorks.
Yes.
So there's your animation news, because Chris Sanders is actually one of the best directors of this era, of the modern era.
Yeah, because he recently came out with The Wild Robot.
Yeah, good
just
film.
this year.
That's going to end up on the list at some point. But getting into the cast, we've got John Travolta as Bolt. He was Danny Zuko in the movie Grease. Miley Cyrus as Penny, and she played this weird character named Miley Stewart in Hannah Montana.
Yeah,
she kind of looks like Hannah Montana, but
who knows?
It's not. I don't think they're the same
Celebrities,
person.
who knows? There's always people trying to mimic things. Who knows? And it's like Miley who?
She is obsessed with Hannah Montana. We'll say that.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're the same.
Yeah, who knows? Who really knows?
Okay, moving on.
Kind of like Best of Both Worlds. I don't know.
Susie Essman played Mittens the cat, and in the movie Volcano, she was Anita. Mark Walton played Rhino, the hamster,
Oh gosh, yeah, him.
and he played Goosey Lucy in Chicken Little.
Oh, okay.
And Malcolm McDowell played Dr. Calico, the fake villain
The fake villain, yes.
of the TV show.
Yes.
And in Star Trek...
Go ahead.
And in Star Trek Generations, he played Dr. Tolian Soren, the villain of that movie.
Yeah,
and they're
sure.
basically the same characters, except one was trying to live forever, and the other was trying to. I don't know what his role in the show was in this, other than he captured Penny's father.
Well, he was trying to get Penny's father to, because he had some experiment that Calico wanted, but be like father refused, so he had to try to kidnap Penny in order to get her father to get like. It's confusing, but
I'm just saying
we don't get a full explanation because they didn't make a series out of it.
That's the thing. That's what I was about to say. You could have made an animated series out of this premise, and it would be like, this is the show that they were making in this movie, and the last episode, no matter when that happens, you play basically the last scene, and it's like, and just the last 5 seconds of this movie, and you're done.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts Connections.
Oh gosh.
How many do you think we got?
This is 2008.
2008. This was not adapted into Kingdom Hearts, so
sadly,
there is not any. There's no role reprisals. So bear that in mind.
True. because they're gonna be like, I did not look over at his when he was doing his notes. Was here to be like, there again? I came in and he was like, "Hi," gone, and just like he was apparently he had taken a nap.
Against my will.
This is totally against my will!
So, question.
Yes.
How do you take a nap against your will? Did
have you never fallen asleep on the couch before?
Yes.
That's against your will. I didn't want to take a nap. I didn't want to do anything, but I didn't want to take a nap.
But apparently, God just decided to be like, Drew needs to take a nap to rest his mind, and apparently he just put you to sleep.
Didn't wake me up till 6:30.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, I didn't walk over here at 6:25 and knock and be like, Drew be like, oh my gosh!
Panic like you've never seen before. Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do we got?
Let's go with 4.
Higher.
12?
Lower. It's 7.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah, we've got Tara Strong, who was additional voices in this.
Tara Strong?
Tara. Either way. Anna. She was the Riku from Final Fantasy X in Kingdom Hearts. Of course, she's also the original voice of Riku from Final Fantasy X.
Gotcha.
And 10 too.
10-2?
Final Fantasy. John DiMaggio was Saul in Bolt, and he was Jacoby in Kingdom Hearts.
Jacoby?
One of the undead pirates from the Pirates of the Caribbean level, which is hilarious because he was Waka in Final Fantasy X, but doesn't play Waka in Kingdom Hearts.
Waka.
Instead, we get like the worst Islander voice we've ever had.
Oh gosh.
Chris Sanders, the creator of Stitch, and the person who actually came up with the whole idea for this film in the first place.
Yeah.
Of course, he's Stitch in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yes.
Oh, and sorry, he's also Stitch in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.
Of course.
He's in both games.
Yeah, because apparently Chris Sanders is
He's the only one allowed to play Stitch except for one guy who played him in the anime.
Yeah.
When they English dubbed that.
Yes.
Yes, folks, there is a Lilo and Stitch anime. There's no Lilo.
Yeah, Lilo does show up in the very end.
Right, but I mean, she's not a main character.
Yes.
Jeff Bennett was the voice of Lloyd in Bolt. And in Kingdom Hearts, he played Merlin, Large Beagle Boy, Small Beagle Boy, Geppetto, Mr. Shmee, Bashful, Lumiere, Barrel, and the mayor of Halloween Town. He does a lot. J.P. Minot played Tom in Bolt, and he played Randall Boggs in Kingdom Hearts 3. Kari Walgreen played Mindy in Bolt, and she was the Grid in Kingdom Hearts. And then Phil Lamar, who was additional voices here, played Phoebus in Kingdom Hearts.
Gotcha.
That's what we got in Kingdom Hearts Connections. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. Bolt on IMDb has a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb.
The Internet Movie Database.
Yes. Rotten Tomatoes has a 90 critic score. My words are failing me tonight. I apologize, people.
And I'm the one who had the nap.
Yes. Maybe I should have taken a nap. Then I'm probably going to slip for another 3 hours. Knowing me, I probably would have. Its audience score was 74. There again, we have this little juxtaposition of like scoring, because apparently the reviewers enjoyed it more than the audience, which is
it happens.
It makes sense when we get down to box office and everything. It kind of makes sense. All right, so it's available on Disney Plus if you are subscribed to Disney Plus. Production is Walt Disney Animated Studios. Distribution, Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It's rated PG. Its runtime is 96 minutes. Date of release. It was first viewed on November 17th, 2008 at the El Capitan Theater in California. And then nationwide here in the United States on November 21st, 2008. So going into box office, it had an estimated budget of $150 million. Again, estimated. its opening for the United States and Canada was 26 $26.3 million on November 23rd, 2008. It didn't open very well, let's just say that.
Yeah.
And
it was the experimental era of Disney.
Yeah, it was the experimental era of Disney.
Disney was not busting the box office.
No, they were not. And this movie just shows the audience's lack of attention towards Disney at this time, definitely in their animation department. Kind of very similar to what happened in the 80s. Its domestic, or here in the United States and Canada, its gross was $114 million and a lot of change. Again, this movie did not do well domestically, very well at all. Internationally, it did better with $309.9 million. So in its international market, it did well, but here domestically, it didn't do well.
Right.
So I think Disney saw that as a failure, even though it did tremendously well in the international markets. So I would assume that's why it was never greenlit for a sequel or a TV series or whatever, because on the eyes of the big mouse saw it's like it didn't do well, but actually did do very well.
It did okay.
But it did okay. It did okay. It did not smash records, but it did come up for an Academy Award.
Of course,
nomination.
It was the Disney film. That's
it was the
how
Disney
they all
film.
go.
Not necessarily, because the 2 years prior to that,
is
they,
fair.
They were not nominated at all. They got nominated for this, even though the film did not do well domestically.
That is fair, but generally, you know what I mean. Disney always at least gets the nomination.
Yes, agreed. So this was a nice fresh breath, a breath of fresh air. Thank you. I'm getting words mixed up. Go figure. But going into home release, Bolt was released on Blu-ray. Hint, it was fixed on Blu-ray first and then DVD. That's the difference. It's that era. Here in the United States on March 22nd, 2009, the Blu-ray combo set included a standard DVD and a digital copy version of the film. Back then, on a single disc. But like there was no download. No download codes, no nothing. It was on a disc.
Okay, yeah, you didn't have to key in a download code.
No.
Technically, the code was on the disc.
Technically, it was on the disc. But they were using disc format to download.
It was still being downloaded off the internet.
Yes.
It was not a file on the disc.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, of course. Because I think I have the movie on my iPad, I believe. But let's see here.
I've got a couple from this era like that.
Yeah, the single disc DVD and special edition DVD with a digital download versions followed region 1 on November. That's March, Goober. March 24th. This marks the first time for a major home video release debut on Blu-ray disc before DVD. Bolt was released on both Blu-ray and DVD in the United Kingdom on June 15th, 2009. A short film called Super Rhino included in the DVD and Blu-ray versions of the film. By December 2009, the DVD had sold 4.5 million copies, generating $31.1 million in consumer sales. So it did fairly well in the DVD market. Like it's home video release. Yeah. So it did fairly well. So there again, it should have got a series, but it never did. Just saying.
I'm detecting a opinion.
Yes, there's an opinion here. But so this is something we haven't done in a while. So I kind of stole it from Retro Rewind Podcast, and I thought it was a really good idea, so I borrowed it.
What did you steal from Roy?
It wasn't really from Roy. It was really from Paul J. Powers.
Stole it from Paul.
Stole it from PaulJPowers.com.
PJP.C. That's his new rapper name. I don't know.
Okay. Either or. So its yearly ranking. Where did this movie sit in the box office in the year 2008? Any guesses? Anybody?
Can you give me a range?
I'm not going to give you a range.
That's not how PJPC does it.
Okay, I'll give you a range.
I'm kidding.
But it's, I've watched the show. I've been on the show before.
I know. I'm gonna guess 25. I know it didn't sell well, but
right.
And I can't think of what else came out that time.
You're close. Anybody in the chat want to chime in and see if you get closer or further away from what the year ranking for Bolt in the year 2008 in theaters?
Can you beat my guess at 25?
Can you beat it? Can anybody? Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Moving on in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What do we got?
You were
Bobo guesses 16.
Bobo close 16. You close? You were 25,
yes.
16. Bobo was actually closer. It was the movie came in at in 20th position. So
technically, Bobo was closer.
Yeah, technically Bobo was close,
especially if we're using Price is Right rules.
That is true. He is closer by 1.
Well, and closest without going over.
That is true. Either or, so yeah, be like that's the movie was placed in the 20th position in the movie. I should have marked where it was. I'll do that better next time. Either or, that is all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. A white Swiss Shepherd puppy named Bolt.
Swiss Shepherd puppy.
Yes. Is adopted by a 7-year-old girl named Penny. 5 years later, Bolt and Penny star in a hit television series named after Bolt, in which Bolt and Penny fight crime and foil the plans of the villain, Dr. Calico, who has kidnapped Penny's father, with Bolt using various superpowers in their adventures. To gain a more realistic performance from Bolt, the show's director has arranged the filming in such a way that Bolt believes everything in the show is real, including his invulnerability, super strength, and percussive sonic super bark. This means Bolt can never leave the set and live as a normal dog, much to Penny's dismay. After a cliffhanger episode causes Bolt to believe Penny has been kidnapped, he escapes from his on-set trailer in Hollywood, but knocks himself unconscious and falls into a box of packing peanuts, which is then shipped to New York City. Upon arrival in New York, Bolt is shocked to discover that his superpowers are actually useless. He encounters Mittens, a cynical feral cat who runs a protection racket for pigeons. Believing that Mittens is an agent of Calico, Bolt ties her to his collar with a leash and forces her to guide him back to Penny. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, a less experienced white Swiss Shepherd dog is brought in so filming can resume. Penny is distraught over Bolt's disappearance, but reluctantly agrees to halt the search so production can continue. Feeling hungry for the first time in his life, Bolt accepts Mittens' advice and behaves like a cute and needy stray, securing food for them at an RV park where they are joined by Rhino, a fearless hamster and huge fan of Bolt. The show. Rhino's description of Bolt's adventures causes Mittens to realize Bolt is from a TV show, but she is unable to convince Bolt of the truth. In frustration, Bolt repeatedly attempts to super bark Mittens, but the noise draws the attention of the local animal control service, and Bolt and Mittens are both captured and taken to a shelter. Bolt, freed from the patrol band by Rhino, finally realizes and accepts that he is just a normal dog. However, he regains his confidence after Rhino, oblivious to this revelation, gives him a motivating speech, and they rescue Mittens from the shelter. As they travel west, Bolt and Mittens form a close friendship. She teaches him how to be an ordinary dog and enjoy typical dog activities. Mittens makes plans for the three of them to stay in Las Vegas, but Bolt is still determined to find Penny. Mittens reveals to Bolt that she was declawed and abandoned by her owners and believes that no human truly loves their pet. Bolt vehemently disagrees with her and continues on to Hollywood, alone. After finding out about Bolt's departure, Rhino convinces Mittens to go to Hollywood and find him. When Bolt reaches the studio, he finds Penny embracing the replacement dog during a rehearsal and, believing that she has replaced him, leaves feeling heartbroken. Mittens, who has caught up to him and witnessed the events, reassures Bolt that Penny does love him. At the same time, the Bolt lookalike panics during the show's filming and accidentally knocks over lit tiki torches, setting the stage on fire, with Penny trapped inside. Bolt arrives, and the two reunite inside the burning studio. They are unable to escape, and Penny begins to suffocate from the smoke. Bolt stays with Penny and repeatedly barks into the building's air vent, alerting the firefighters to their location. Bolt and Penny are rescued. Penny and her mother quit the show after Penny's agent proposes that they exploit the incident for publicity. The show continues with a replacement Bolt and Penny and a bizarre new storyline involving alien abductions. Penny adopts Mittens and Rhino, and they move to a rural home to enjoy a simpler lifestyle together. Getting into the trivia for this episode. When Penny is printing lost dog flyers, the last 4 digits of the phone number on the copier are 8423. This makes the number 877-504-8423. This is a number reserved by the American Broadcasting Company, ABC, for movies and television series. Calling it will provide the following short taped recorded message. Thank you for calling ABC. The number you have reached is a fictional non-working number used for motion picture and television productions. Miley Cyrus was not the first choice for Penny. Originally, it was going to be Chloe Grace Moretz, who is still in the film as the fake Penny at the end, that replaced Miley's Penny. She was originally voicing the entire film before Miley was placed on the project.
Gotcha.
When Bolt threatens to drop Mittens from the overpass unless she tells him where Penny is, the bus from Speed with 2525 on the roof passes underneath.
Yes, agreed.
In order to properly animate Rhino, the crew adopted a real hamster, which they called Doink, and filmed it beneath while it was walking on a sheet of plexiglass. Thus, they were able to see how Rhino would walk in his plastic ball. Since the word bolt can be used as a vulgar word in Russian,
Yes.
I'm not telling you what it's a vulgar word
Yes,
for.
I'm aware what it is.
The film was released as Volt in Russian.
Uh-huh.
In Russia, with the hero being called Volt. The film is also called Volt in Hungary, France, and for the French language release in Canada. Also, the name of the film is Lightning in Croatia, Slovakia, Estonia, and Poland, and Thunder in Bulgaria.
Okay.
When Rhino leaves the trailer park with Bolt and Mittens, he says, Larak Tarath, which is the Mokhtar chant of strength, as seen in the film Galaxy Quest. Because guess what, folks? This film is reverse Galaxy Quest. Jacob likes Galaxy Quest, he just doesn't know it. Or at least likes the concept of Galaxy Quest.
Yes.
I'll give him that.
Yes.
The 3 pigeons that Bolt encounters in New York City are similar to those seen in the Good Feather segment of the Warner Brothers cartoon series Animaniacs.
Yes.
Lastly, this is the 11th and last Walt Disney Animation Studios film from the quote-unquote experimental era. Jacob, what is your first like for this film?
All right, so my first like of this film is the ending. The ending of this film, or the the crescendo of this film. The reunion between Penny and her beloved dog, Bolt. Her actual dog. And because, like, you had this journey of discovery with Bolt, and Penny's heartbreak be like she has to let go of her favorite dog in order for the show to continue. And you have this dramatic reunion. Granted, it could have been under better circumstances, but you see the dedication of Bolt towards his owner, his master of Penny. And obviously the substitution Bolt gets scared during the filming, knocks over a prop, which catches the studio on fire, and poor Penny is trapped within the studio, within the warehouse, by herself, and Bolt, through his cunning and determination to be a good boy to his owner.
So be the hero.
Yeah, he is the hero. He is the good boy who thought he was an actual super dog who turns into an actual hero. Braves the fire to find his beloved owner, and they are briefly reunited among the flames of the studio burning to the ground. And it's a very heartwarming moment where they do finally are able to see each other. They do among the chaos of the fire within the studio. And I absolutely, again, watching this film for the first time in theaters was just moving to the point. Be like, even to this day, watching that scene makes me want to cry. It's the point where be like Penny is starting to become overcome by the smoke, and she can't breathe, and so she finally does collapse. So Bolt is able to drag her to the one of the vents, because that be like he knows and be like he can get through it, but Penny can't. And so it's just so good, because be like he realizes that Penny she can't do it, and so he just curls up next to her and says, be like you know you're a good boy, you're my good boy. Oh, I got choked up even thinking about it. Wow. Whew, that's a good scene. Oh my gosh, because it is the culmination of this entire film, because you have that said over and over and over and over again, because every time it's said, it's on a set. It is just because it makes you think definitely from where Bolt has come from, with being with Mittens on this road trip to back to LA, to Hollywood, that Penny no longer loves him. Yeah. That this was pretend. It'd be like it's what and it's like this beautiful moment. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Be like if you were to encapsulate most emotional moving scene in a Disney film, more modern film, it's that scene between Bolt and Penny at the apex of the film, where the greatest danger of the loss of life and a fire by themselves, be like at least they're together. And that's so freaking touching. And then you have the moment the moment where Bolt be like he barks being next to this ventilation vent. It echoes, and so he barks, gets the echo again, and so he realizes, even though again I'm getting emotional, Bolt realizes he can save the day, even though he's a dog, even though he's a non-powered super dog, he can save the day. So he takes all the strength he has left to give a super bark, and he does. And thankfully, everybody, I'm getting emotional over this movie. It's such a touching, be like they discover where it's coming from, and it is just like I'm tearing up even thinking about it. It's such a good scene, because you have all this build up from the very beginning of the film to this moment in a movie that is so well done, that draws you into this little confined space between these two characters, and it's just moving. If you haven't seen this film, go watch it. I just implore you, if you have never seen this film,
what are you doing listening to the spoiler part of the show?
What are you doing? If you haven't seen the film, pause whatever you're doing, go find this film in legal means necessary.
Get to Disney Plus and watch this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Go watch it, enjoy it, and just enjoy this movie. It's such a gem of a Disney film. And be like, I did not realize I was getting emotional just saying this. But yeah, this is just the culmination of a brilliant story. Brilliant story. And this confined little space where it seems the end is nigh. And Bolt pulls it out in the end by being the true hero that he is. So that's my first is the reunion of Bolt and Penny in the fire. My gosh. Oh, I didn't realize I was getting emotional. I'm sweating. It's so good. So what is your first for this film?
I like that it's reverse Galaxy Quest. I'm sorry.
Okay, then.
I literally when I was watching this film, and I made this connection. I'm going to explain what I mean here in a minute. Right. I made this connection.
Yeah.
I texted it to Jacob.
You did.
And he says, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, "I will explain it on Friday."
Yes, which he explained it on.
It's gave you a little bit of a hint of what I meant because I didn't want to go into the full thing, but I'm going to go into the full thing right now.
Okay, go for it.
So here's the thing. Galaxy Quest. I'm going to go from this angle. Galaxy Quest is a movie about actors on a television show who are believed to be the actual characters from the show by a group of aliens who pretty much recruit them to go take out this evil villain that they're dealing with, right?
Yes.
Bolt
is the reverse.
Is the show about a dog who thinks he is the character on the TV show. He doesn't realize there is a TV show. He just thinks he is all this stuff on the TV show is stuff he can actually do, and everybody else is aware he can't do it.
Yeah.
And most people don't know a good way to tell him. So they kind of have to, except for Rhino. Rhino's a fanboy.
Of course.
For being honest.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, it's reverse. It's basically the same concept of a fake television show in the film that has, that is still kind of dealing with the same concept of what is real and what is not.
Fair.
And them having to deal with situations from their television show without having the actual capabilities of the characters they portray.
Fair.
I kind of like that in this.
Yeah, I do too. Minus, let me bring something up. I do like your reverse Galaxy Quest, but if we were to boil it down to further with using film as the same analogy, it's more like the Truman Show.
It's all that would be a third mix.
Okay, more of a third option. Okay,
I agree with you about the Truman Show bit. It's just I prefer Galaxy Quest.
Okay, fair enough.
I like both films, actually, if we're being honest. I like all three of these films, if we're being honest.
Okay.
But Truman Show's another good example, except Truman was able to figure out, while in the show, that it was a television show.
Oh, okay. There again, I have not watched The Truman Show yet. I do plan on watching it at some point. I just need to sit down and actually, sit my patukas on a couch and watch it.
It happens. We all have we all have blind spots in our film watching, whatever the term is.
Yes,
but
we're film boys, but we haven't watched everything.
You can't watch everything.
No,
but we back where I was. I one of the things there's a scene early on in the film that it pretty much explains this, where the director is explaining all of the lengths he's going to so that Bolt will actually believe that everything is happening. That's ridiculous.
Agreed.
Being honest. And they kind of, because the idea is that the dog is method acting. Do you know what that refers to?
Yes, I'm aware of what method acting is.
It was created by Stanislavski, and the idea is that you can't actually portray an emotion unless you are feeling that emotion at the time you are portraying the character.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, I think of actors. Example like Christian Bale.
Heath Ledger is the big one, because that killed Heath Ledger.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah,
but him portraying the Joker, he got way too into the character and got depressed and took some drugs he was not supposed to. Allegedly, as far as we can tell.
Yeah. But you have many character actors who go into the character. Right. They do not break character at all.
Some people, this is actually what they need to do to act. And you know what?
Yeah.
Fine. Some people do it because it gets them attention on sets. And that's like, you people can stop.
That's true.
And just be regular actors, because you obviously don't need the method acting. And admittedly, method acting does get a bit of a stigma, because it's that whole idea that I can't ever break character on set. Yeah. If my character is a evil villainous jerk, I'm going to be an evil villainous jerk to everyone.
Yeah.
And with some actors, there are stories of them doing heinous things that should have gotten them fired if it didn't.
True.
Because that's what their character would do, and they were not breaking character.
Yeah, Val Kilmer did that on Top Gun.
Yeah.
Or I think of I recently read an article where it was Chadwick Boseman when he was doing Black Panther, or any other of the Black Panther performances. He would not break character. He would use that Wakandan accent and not be like he would be
with the character of T'Challa. That
thank you.
makes sense.
Yeah, because he didn't want to break character.
But T'Challa is not a madman.
No, he's not.
He's going to break Chadwick Boseman's psyche.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree with that, but it's more the methodology which
Right.
some actors use.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
Right.
And I'm saying I have never heard of someone trying to use method acting on a dog before until this film. And that's maybe the slightly ridiculous part of this whole thing.
Right.
At the same time, you can tell there's a lot of stuff they didn't think through. Not the writers of the show, of the movie, but the characters in the show who were running the program, the television program, that they didn't think through, such as having a cliffhanger and not letting the dog actually know his owner was okay, and just kidnapping the dog and throwing him in a trailer and thinking that was going to work. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't work for the character Bolt. Why would it work for the dog Bolt?
Yeah, but I do see your point. I do see your point where,
but we'll get into the dislikes later.
Yeah,
but I do, like I said, I do enjoy the concept for this, and and the way they work it out all the way through.
Yeah, I agree, because you have this notion of, like you said, it's a good analogy of being a reverse Galaxy Quest, where you have Bolt, who thinks everything that's going on is real, because he knows nothing other than the TV series. So you have like everything that happens, the cliffhanger. So Bolt thinks this is really happening. So when he
literally the whole part of this movie is Bolt thinks that Penny is kidnapped, and he is trying to get to her to save her.
Yeah.
And it's over the course of that journey to get back to where he was going that he learns, Penny is an actress. I am not actually a super dog.
Yeah.
And now it's just more important that I get back to her because she's my human. Mm-hmm. My person, sorry.
Yeah.
It's person. That's
person.
That's the phraseology used in the film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do agree. I do agree. It is a brilliant way, the brilliant storytelling, what they do with this. And it's just like, because everybody else knows Bolt's just the dog. Bolt doesn't. And so he has that character journey of realizing, be like, okay, I've been living in a pretend world, that this isn't real. So I have to learn to be a real dog.
Yeah.
And along the same way to become the hero that he was supposed to be. Not the super dog he was on the show.
Dogs do tend to have that Lassie mentality, especially in writing. The idea that they're good. In order to be the good dog, they have to be the hero for the child. I'm not saying they don't have to be, but this is the case with a lot of these kind of dogs for children's movies.
Right.
So yeah, of course, him learning to become a real dog instead of the super dog is like a part of him actually learning to be a real hero.
Yes.
I honestly think that had they if Penny and the family hadn't quit the TV show, his performance on the TV show probably would be better going forward, because he actually understands his character better.
That is true. Because then he'd be more of a method actor.
Definitely more than fake Bolt.
Yeah, that's true, because he would be like, because going out of that world of thinking it's real and knowing now with his just journey of discovery, be like, he could be Bolt, the super dog, and just be Bolt.
And they could treat him like a normal dog outside of the show.
Exactly.
Because, anyway, what's your second like?
My second like for this film, as my power boots like, this has a stellar and tight script. To be like, I don't know if Drew would agree with me or not on that, but I think when it comes to its opening and closing, there's hardly any, what's a good word for that? There's no, like, nothing loose really in the story. It's really a tight script. Like, it's a very well done, very like polished story. Like from beginning to end, be like, there's no fluff in the middle of it.
Yeah.
From my perspective, there is no fluff. Like, this is a near perfect story. Be like, there are some little issues here and there, But overall, it is nearly a perfect script. Because you have the TV series, Bolt is thrust into the real world. He has to go on this journey of discovery to discover who he truly is as a dog, and discover, to be a real dog and not a pretend dog, and to be reunited with his owner on a fiery burning set, and to become the hero he was supposed to be, with Super Bark and all. Overall, be like, I enjoyed the story. It's be like, if you're looking for a tight, very, very tight, just profesh job of a script, this is it. This is so good. I'd be like, I love Tangle. Tangle is another really, really good, tight script, because there's so many movies nowadays and be like, it's got a script, but there's so much fluff around it. It's not even funny. I think of Thor: Love and Thunder. It's like, good, not you have this little bit here, that's okay. This little bit's here is good.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff in the film
so
that's
much
just
fluff that just like...
I wouldn't even go with fluff, because fluff is at least cute and fun.
Yeah, coherent.
A lot of Thor: Love and Thunder, as much as I love MCU, this is one of the weakest MCU
It
films.
is, because it has a very weak script.
It's got a lot of what I would just call, we thought this would be funny.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't stop to think that, it's only funny to us because we're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, why do our special effects suck?
Yeah.
Why did we ruin Lady Thor? I'm sorry, I read the comics. I like Lady Thor.
Okay,
I like
fair.
Jane Foster as Thor.
Fair.
I don't like what they did with her in the film.
Okay, fair.
But anyway.
That is fair. But I think even more modern films, definitely big blockbuster films, don't have tight scripts. Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't. But...
Well, you do deal a lot with... some of the stuff being done in the film that's more like, we think we tested this film in front of test audiences and they liked this, but they didn't like this, so we're going to do this so that more people will watch the film.
Yeah.
Instead of letting the artists making the film actually work on the film. Part of the reason I think what you're saying is, and I'm going to be getting into it here in my next like.
Yeah, go ahead.
But part of the reason I think the script is so tight. And it's, tied down. They didn't have time.
No, they didn't have time. They
really
didn't.
play with it outside
didn't.
of the core concept they had to work with. Because, like I said, Chris Sanders was the original creator of this entire concept. His vision was entirely different than what they went with. I was looking this up a minute ago while you were talking. Apparently, the basic idea for this was it was centered around a character named Henry, who was a famous canine star who one day finds himself stranded in the Nevada desert with a testy one-eyed cat and an oversized radioactive rabbit who are themselves searching for new homes.
Yeah.
All while believing he is still on television.
Yes.
Apparently, somewhere along the way, the plot had also come to include a radioactive, cookie-selling Girl Scout zombie serial killer.
It sounds like Chris Sanders.
It sounds like Chris Sanders. Around this time is when Pixar got fully bought out by Disney instead of being fully absorbed. And John Lasseter took over as head of animation for both companies. And was working at Pixar. He instituted the same type of brain trust like they used for a lot of the Pixar films there at that time. And the other directors saw 2 screenings of the film and had realized that, well, yes, this is a very quirky idea, and quirky ideas are not bad. The problem is this one had metastasized. This was not working well at all.
Fair.
And Chris Sanders apparently held his ground a little, and the people at Disney removed him from the film.
Yeah.
And he then quit and went to work for DreamWorks. I don't remember what his first DreamWorks film was.
I don't either.
But I can look that up later.
But apparently, I was doing research to yourself of IMDb, where apparently he took the concept, Chris Sanders took the concept of the eye patch cat and made that his own personal webcomic. I don't remember the name of it.
But in terms of what happened for this film, they put the 2 directors on it. What are their names? Chris Williams and Byron Howard, and they could not change the release date for this film.
No, because it was 12 months.
So it was 12 months, and they had to make an entire film in 12 months from pre-production to end, and all they had was Dog from a television series. That's about the only thing that stayed.
Yeah. And also, like,
and so they didn't have time to play. They had to get scenes animated, episodes, and things thankfully coalesced
yes,
in a very good, coherent way, so that the fact that they couldn't try to do different things with it and try to experiment with it and come up with different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
They had to stick with this basically basic concept and do the kind of story that made the most sense with it. That's why I think, like you were saying, this script is so tight. They just didn't have time to play, to make it loose.
I agree. Be like,
I would even bet that this is there's probably no what do you call it? Improv. The actors
probably
didn't
no
even have
improv whatsoever.
We're definitely not on first takes with this film.
No.
We didn't have many. I can tell you that. The acting is better than just we just took the first take that took. No, it is. They did what they had to do. They got it. And granted, I think the same thing happened with to a degree with Emperor's New Groove.
Right.
Except that movie had no script.
True, it didn't. Well, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me back in the early 90s when they were doing Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Because when they were doing Beauty and the Beast, they took an entire year to do development and I think it was like 35 minutes of film and presented it. And the higher ups in Disney said, no, redo it. And they had, I think, like a year and a half to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what, when you're under pressure to do something and you just have this diamond, you keep rubbing into it and you just find the diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
When you had Beauty and the Beast, and also you have Bolt.
And among other things.
And among other amazing films that were under a tight schedule.
So yeah, bouncing off of what you're saying, I am impressed beyond measure with what this team was able to do in such a short time. Because, I mean, I can look at some of the stuff and go, okay, yeah, this could have been touched up. This could have been pushed. Maybe, you can nitpick this thing pretty well, but when you stop and realize they did this in a year. Guys, it takes 5 years to make a film.
Yeah.
For Disney to make a film.
Yeah, 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years. And they did this in a year. Chris Sanders spent 4 years to come up with the version they got rid of and then pushed this one out fast. This movie has no right to be as good as it is based on that. And the fact of the matter is, it might be the best of the experimental era. The only one that comes close, because I think Lilo and Stitch is still technically considered part of this era, is Lilo and Stitch. And probably Emperor's New Groove as well. These are like the 3 big ones from this era that are good. I mean, technically, Princess and the Frog technically starts the what do we call the Tangled age? The age of Tangled and Frozen and all that. I don't know what that era is called other than the modern age.
Yeah, I think either they call it the Diamond Age or they call it the New Renaissance.
It's the you know what? I like New Renaissance.
Yeah, I think it's
because
New Renaissance.
does feel like the second
Renaissance. I'm sorry,
second Renaissance. It does feel like the second coming of the '90s Disney Renaissance. But and we're already out of it now. But yeah, this is one of the big 3 from that era, and good night. They did better than they had any right to. So,
agreed.
My second like for this is how good it is despite its problems.
Yeah.
The problems it had to deal with.
Oh, yeah, agreed. So,
what's your third?
My third and final like for this film is it's a combination because I couldn't fit all of it into one. And
Fair.
Be like, I would have had like 5 likes.
Yeah.
If like, honestly. It would be here for a couple of hours. But I'm going to compact all of this into... It has an amazing opening. This movie is just because when it comes to like cinema gold, you watch this movie for the first time, it's like, oh my gosh, I love it. I love the opening cinematics. This be like because you're opening with a pet shop with a very cute and adorable white puppy that is adopted by a cute little girl, and then it just jumps directly into this. Phone call of hello, and it's just like you go full tilt into this world of Bolt the TV series, and it's just like, it's, oh my gosh. Again, they missed the mark so badly with, I'll get into my dislikes with what I'm going to bring up my dislikes, but man, they missed something with this. But let's see. But like you have this.
You said, boom, you get into the TV show and they're doing the phone call, and the thought that crossed my mind is, I don't have money, but what I do have a very particular set of skills that I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I am Bolt. I have a superpower.
Yes.
I want Liam. Look, I love John Travolta in this role. He does a good job. I actually didn't know it was John Travolta until I was looking at the cast list. But you put, please, I need a cut with Liam Neeson playing Bolt.
So a little bit of the trivia. So they were trying to, like, John Travolta wasn't the first guy that they were looking at. No, Christian, he was, but alternatives was like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger would not have been good for this.
That was terrible. It's like,
I can't even imagine.
Get to the chopper.
I can't even imagine what what movie Schwarzenegger would be good in a Disney film. Like, what role would work best for him?
That is true. That'd be the very interesting. Yeah, either or. Be like, it's
he needs to be a character in Oliver and Company. I could see him being one of those dogs.
Oh, okay.
Maybe an Austrian bullhog.
Bullhog?
What's a bullhog? I was trying to say Austrian bloodhound or something.
Bloodhound or a, yeah.
I don't know what the
some big
Austrian
dog.
Some Austrian breed of dog says, Oliver, come with me if you want to live.
Oh yeah, so it's got an amazing beginning. The opening cinematics of the movie is so good. Oh my gosh. Because you can tell, be like, this is something special when they do this. There again, this is all done in a year, people. Let's just say that.
Yes,
it's all done in a year.
Actually, I just thought of what role I want Arnold Schwarzenegger to do.
Oh no,
we know they're making a Zootopia 2, right?
They are. Agreed.
I want there to be Zootopia 1 did have the quote unquote fake bootleg Disney movie joke.
Yes, they did.
Granted, they don't completely have the rights to do bootleg of other companies, but I so want them to do a parody scene of Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Mr. Freeze-esque polar bear. So like, tonight in Gotham is going to be a freeze. Just give me more ice buds. Arnold, I want more ice buds. Kudos if you get Uma Thurman to come back as like a mink character, but in this little parody clip. Played against,
keep going,
obviously a Bat and a Robin character.
Yes. Voiced by George Clooney and
Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, Chris O'Donnell, of course.
With Alicia Silverstone playing the quirky Batgirl counterpart. Also a bat, but Alfred, her uncle, is not a bat. I don't know what he would be, but he's not a bat. Because only Batman and Batgirl can be bats.
He's a penguin.
No, the penguin's another character.
That is true. Okay.
No, he would be a penguin, but just not the penguin. Because the penguin, while looking like a penguin, would still also look like Danny DeVito. And would be voiced by Danny DeVito.
Oh my gosh. Oh, give me a second.
Jack Nicholson still also should come back as the Joker. In this version, it's a clownfish, though. Because, of course, it's a clownfish.
It's a clownfish, of course. Of course.
And as a joke, you have Nemo pop up.
Oh, no.
And say, "You're not my father."
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Have you? Oh, well. It's kind of sounded fun. Bam!
No. I know I said Jack Nicholson. Let's face it. He would never do it because he doesn't have Kevin Conroy with him.
Oh.
Mark Hamill! As Joker the Clownfish.
Oh, my gosh.
Please make this happen!
Oh, man. Warner Brothers, just give Disney a little that'd be great, but...
Let us bring back the cooperation that existed for Who Framed Roger Rabbit with Zootopia 2 the movies.
Yes, but the only problem with that is that you would never get George Clooney to ever do it. Because
I'm aware he hates the role.
He hates the role. He apologized
and you
for
can't
the
get Val Kilmer to do it anymore.
Yeah,
because
sadly, he just recently
unfortunately
passed away.
But there is somebody you can do it and would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton would do it in
He would do it in a heartbeat. He came... No, he didn't come back for... That was George... No, it was Michael Keaton that came back for...
The Flash?
The Flash.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton,
George Clooney
you
came back
have
for that
him
one.
on payroll for The Vulture.
Just
Get
say
him
it.
over to the recording studio to play the Batman.
Batman.
Bruce Bat.
Bruce Bat.
Because obviously it can't be Bruce Wayne. Warner Brothers owns this. Bruce Bat, Robin the Wonder. Robin the Wonder.
No, that's not a copyright at all.
Hey, it makes about as much sense as some of the other jokes in there.
That's true.
Hey, sorry, I got us off topic. I'm
No,
so sorry.
you think.
It's just I had this brilliant idea that would never happen.
Anyways,
Also, Ryan Reynolds just shows up as Pikachu for no flipping reason. Hey, I think I'm in the wrong movie. Pika! Give me some coffee.
all right.
And all of a sudden, 5 Chris Pratt characters show up.
Oh my gosh.
Mario, the guy from the Lego movie,
Oh.
Star-Lord, the dude from Parks and Rec, that got him famous. They're all in the film for no good reason.
You're forgetting Jurassic World.
That's Jurassic World 2. That's Fox, isn't it?
No, that's Universal.
Universal, whatever.
Just
And Garfield. He's Garfield's freaking too.
He's Garfield. That's
But
right.
let's face it. Who of us will be surprised? We haven't had news in a while, but they're making a live-action Legend of Zelda film.
They are.
Chris Pratt as Link. It's coming. You know it is.
We know it's coming.
It has to. Well, they can't get Orlando Bloom because Orlando Bloom's no longer young enough to play an elf boy.
That's true. Well, a certain guy who plays Spider would do good.
Timothy Chalamet would probably do good as Link also.
True. I don't know who that is.
The main guy from Dune.
Oh, yeah.
And Willy Wonka and Wonka. That guy.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
I can see him doing that. I don't know. They haven't announced anything.
But either
Anyway,
or.
back to Bolts.
Back to Bolt. Incredible opening. Again, spectacular character development. Again, this is all done in the span of a year creating this.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic character growth. Be like this journey of discovery, like who Bolt is, and be like who he really is. Be like, it's a great movie. And also, just the growth in this movie. It's fantastic. So, yeah, that's my third. Kind of a culmination of a bunch of others because I couldn't fit them all in one. So, yeah, it's my third final like of this film.
My third and final like for this film, the not quite fourth wall breakingness jokes. I say not quite fourth wall breaking because technically the fourth wall is never broken.
True.
But they are the types of jokes that you would play as fourth wall breaking jokes.
So it's not a Deadpool movie.
No, it's not a Deadpool movie, but it's the jokes are kind of similar. The main ones I'm mainly thinking of are the pigeons going, you know what, I know this dog. He looks familiar. I wonder who he is. Bus drives by with Bolt's face on it. Mm-hmm. I just can't place who he is. Later on, I'm still trying to think of who that dog was we saw earlier. Meanwhile, they're sitting on a giant poster the size of a building on Bolt's nose. Goes, yeah, man, I can't figure out who that is. Huzzah! But then, here's the other thing. I say that as kind of a lead into my actual third like. Because that was funny and I just wanted to bring it up.
Gotcha.
But the character of Mittens.
Okay, fair.
First off, Mittens is declawed.
Yes.
Now, we had declawed cats when I was young.
Okay,
I will
fair.
admit that Buster and Boo Boo were declawed.
Buster and Boo Boo.
That was the cats we had when I was growing up. Buster
Fair.
and Boo Boo. I actually, ironically, Buster was a Jacksonville cat. My dad found him when he was making vending machine deliveries back in the day.
Okay.
While in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And took the kitten home. and someone called him Buster. And he responded to that name, so that became his name.
Oh.
I couldn't pronounce it at the time.
It went boo-boo.
Nope, it became Buffer.
Buffer.
Yes. I called him Buffer. No, Boo Boo was the female cat that we also had at the time, and she was named after Boo Boo Kitty from Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But enough fun family lore. We could not let those cats out of the house for very long because, quite frankly, their only means of self-defense had been taken from them.
Yes.
So that they wouldn't destroy our furniture. That was the reason. My parents made the decision. I'm casting no judgments, but
poor kids.
When you are dealing with that, that is the thing you have to do, is those cats cannot be left out.
Fair.
And Mittens was a declawed cat left to fend for herself in New York City with absolutely no knowledge of why she was abandoned.
Yeah.
Whether it was an intentional abandonment or an unintentional abandonment, the fact of the matter was she had to find a way to survive in New York City without claws.
Yes.
So, of course, she, being a strong character, came up with a way to... She does this protection racket, pretending that she has claws and praying the pigeons never figure out she doesn't. And I love the little thing she says with the one that doesn't give her all the food. She says, I don't have control of the claws. Technically correct. But my stomach does, and I can tell my stomach is talking to the claws. And if you don't make sure you bring me double of what you were of your food next week, the claws may come out. And immediately when I'm watching this, because granted, we hadn't been told she's declawed yet. Yeah. I'm going to go, oh, crud, she's declawed. Mm-hmm. She has... That's like... That's horrible in a way for the cat.
Oh, agreed.
So she's actually dealing with the fact that not only was she abandoned, she was abandoned to die with given no means of protecting herself. Mm-hmm. Granted, I am not casting judgment on the owner because we honestly don't know why the owner abandoned the cat, whether it was intentional or unintentional. Right. And or why they decided to declaw her. I am not casting judgment on any of this. And I'm saying that because there are animal lovers who will grill me if I don't say something. But the fact of the matter is she needed Bolt as much as Bolt needed her. And I just appreciated I'm a cat guy. I love cats. So let's face it, the movie starts off with cats being all the jerks. And it's just very common for any of these pet-centric films where the dog's the good guy, the cat's the bad guy. Mm. And that is an annoying trope for me because I like cats. The cats are not evil. Fair. They're just picky.
Very picky.
They aren't like dogs who will just love anybody who comes up to them. You have to earn their love. They have to earn their respect. Says the guy who just picks up cats. Chases cats like, I want to love you, let me love you.
And the cat goes into your face.
Yes, but falls in love with your backpack for unknown reasons.
Because it had oils in it, that's why.
That cannot be the only reason, but that's all beside the point. Of course, that cat hated everybody but Chase.
That is true.
So that's not really fair for me to bring up. But I always feel for cat characters, and I always hate the fact that cats are generally cast as the villains.
Yes.
In these kind of things. And I get it, because cats are standoffish and aloof. They're not... Yes. You know the phrase, dogs have owners, cats have staff.
That is true.
Man hath not known love like the tolerance of a cat.
Very true.
I'm saying that honestly. But this character went from being, we're going to treat her like a villain like we've treated every other cat in this film, to all of a sudden it's like, no, this is a major character. She's going to have character growth. She's not an antagonist. Yes. She's the only one with any real world smarts in this. And yeah, she's being drug along on this against her will. I've already played the clip. I'm not playing it again. But she actually is going to end up caring and actually be the one that gets Bolt to understand, hey, your girl still loves you, even though you caught her basically cheating on you with another dog.
Oh,
That's not what was happening.
Yes, I'm
he
aware.
misunderstood. But to Bolt, that's what it would have looked like, or the equivalent of which. And it was her who had to go and say, "Hey, Bolt, that's not what happened. She really does love you. Go after her." And if Mittens had not said that, Penny would be dead right now.
That is true.
So, yeah, Mittens the cat. She's not. I would not go so far as to call her the hero of the film, but she is also a hero in the film.
Yes.
Despite the fact she is the one who didn't want to be the hero.
Yes.
She just wanted to live her life. So yeah, Mittens the cat is my third like.
Oh, okay.
What's your first dislike for the film, if you have one? Because I know you love this film.
So yes, I do have some dislikes for this film. It is a sad fact this movie did not do well domestically, and so that's why most likely, like, this movie didn't need a sequel at all.
No, but
it would have just destroyed it. So if Disney, you touch this film, we're gonna have a problem.
But would you agree with me that what they needed to do was make a TV show based on the TV show? In the
Absolutely.
Film? Yeah,
Absolutely. That's my gripe about this film. One of the big ones is like they never took the opportunity, and it was a golden opportunity to do a TV series based off the show in the movie.
yeah.
It would have been perfect. But like, you could do what they did with Tangle the series or Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, something similar to that with a different art style, but still show the respect towards the source material, and made this epic show, and people would have loved it, and then it would drew people to the movie. So yeah, just
even at the time had Miley Cyrus under contract, you could have forced her to keep playing Penny.
you could have
Now you can't,
yeah, exactly.
because she's coming in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, and apparently be like, if she granted this was several years ago, if she would have be like, if they would have had continued, be like, Miley Cyrus believed that Hannah Montana would have became her, the wild, crazy version of her in the early 2000s. It's like, yeah, no,
That was not you did not have complete control over that character, Miley.
did not have control of that character. And be like, I would have been.
Disney would not have allowed that kind of thing to show up on their channel.
No. Like,
I think there's a reason you were cut from the Disney brand.
I read this. Apparently, Miley Cyrus herself made a comic over this, where Hannah Montana would become at least that version of Miley Cyrus. Now, there is an interesting fact on that. Most recently, I think at the D3 Expo, D23 Expo, Miley Cyrus publicly apologized to Mickey Mouse for her behavior in the early 2000s. The early teens of the 2000s. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So yeah, that little fun fact behind the voice of Penny. But yeah, I really wish they would have taken the opportunity. It was would have been a golden opportunity. They let it slip from their hands. Now, be like going on almost 20 years. Almost 20 or 10 years. Yeah, it's almost 10 years. No, hold on. I'm terrible with math, people. I apologize.
15 years?
15 years. It's almost 15. It's been almost 15 years. Because it would be way out, because you'd have to remarket the movie and the whole to get something.
It's too late to try it right
do
now.
anything. But I think if they would have just
for a kids show, if you were going to do like a family show and then you just barely tied it to it like they did with the Rocketeer, because they did that Daughter of the Rocketeer thing.
Oh yeah.
And that went. I think that did fairly well.
Yeah, what I understand.
But you would not be able to do it with the same basic concept. Now.
No,
unless you're just literally doing Penny as an adult.
Yeah, but yeah, I think they just missed an opportunity with doing a TV series, and it would have been fantastic, because there again, it would have drew fans into the movie.
And this would have been at a time when Disney television animation was hitting it out of the ballpark all the time.
Oh yeah.
And they didn't make a TV show based off this.
So I think of the example comes to mind is like when it comes to Tangled, because Tangled did amazing in theaters. but they kind of treated it like a black sheep because it'd be like it was great, but it wasn't.
It wasn't Frozen.
It wasn't Frozen. So when they came out with Tangled the series, they treated that like a black sheep. Be like it would air. It went and had 3 amazing series. We've already reviewed it on TAS, our first TAS.
Yeah.
And
Or second.
I'm sorry, second
No,
TAS.
third.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
We did Lower Deck season 1.
That's right.
And then we did Thundercats anime.
Yeah, we did Thundercats 2011, and then we did this, and then we did Tangled
This was
the series.
originally Tangled the series was meant to originally be our first. TAS.
Yeah, originally, but that got
it got bumped because different reasons.
Lower Decks and the whole bit.
Yeah,
but I would think it probably went the exact same way because Tangled did so well, but it didn't do bangers like they were hoping.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely they would have created a series based on the Bolt TV series, and it would have probably got just be like released, no fanfare, no nothing, kind of like what they did with Tangled the series, which is a shame because that was an amazing series.
Yeah, but at the same time with Tangled the series, it not being like being held up as the poster child of great television cartoons, it was it was not being overseen as harshly as something like, say, the Little Mermaid TV series was back in the day.
Yes.
Where they was sent through focus groups and all this other stuff and muted it. Can you imagine Tangled, the halfway through Tangled the series with the Decay song? How that would go over with a focus group?
Oh my gosh, you are not kidding.
You gotta remember, Tangled the series gets dark.
It does, really.
Like, far darker than you think it would. And dark enough, I'm surprised. The only reason Disney let that happen is because they didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop it in time.
Yeah, I agree.
But, I mean, that's also the same era that we're talking about where you had Gravity Falls come out.
Yeah.
First couple years of the first run through of Phineas and Ferb.
True.
A couple other big names around that time. So yeah, Disney Animation was hitting it out of the ballpark. They could have done wonders with this. I mean, Kim Possible was finishing up at this time.
Yeah, Kim Possible was following up at this
Kim
time.
Possible's a great show.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And this would have been in the same vein. So
agreed.
And let's face it, we already had a cartoon with a girl named Penny, a very smart dog, and also included a bumbling uncle.
Yeah.
Called Inspector Gadget.
That is true. That was another example.
Yeah, but that was 90s.
Yes, agreed.
Early 90s. But anyway.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's like Disney missed a golden opportunity to do a series with this, but they didn't.
My first dislike for this film, and I will grant you this is kind of a nitpick. There's a scene at the beginning of the film. They're doing this whole thing in this whole scene from the TV show.
Yeah,
and it's this big, action-packed, money-catching thing. All this cool, big stuff is happening, and you get this moment where they do the super bark for the first time in the film, and it feels cool and epic. And you go to them editing this in universe,
yeah,
and they notice that there's a boom mic in the shot, and they gripe about it and go, "Oh, that's a boom mic." If the dog had seen that, it might have broken his immersion. Blah blah blah. That's what thing they're going. So I pause and go, "Hang on." Rewind the film to the same scene that they were just showing. There's not a boom mic in the shot.
No, there's not.
And I'm sitting going, and I'm piecing together how this must work. There's a lot of the things we just saw Bolt do that within the universe of this film are special effects. Bolt would not have been able to actually do the things.
Agreed.
They would have been done in post-production. How does Bolt think he's actually doing this stuff? And granted, not long after that, we do get the scenes of them filming. They're filming the cliffhanger episode, and they're actually showing what it looks like on set when he's doing the heat vision and all the other stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of maybe live with that. Except, man, this is a lot of money that this television production, presumably in universe, this is a live action television production because there's actors. The dog is a living character. So this is a live action show. This is like real life Kim Possible in universe. You're going to a lot of trouble to basically to make this dog think he's actually doing all this stuff.
Yes.
How is this production staying afloat? And I don't just mean, obviously, the ratings are lousy. Otherwise, Mindy from the network would not have come in to try and straighten things up.
Agreed.
But I don't care. This is like how they would have done like something like, say, Batman 66,
Yeah.
where they would have to do stuff like this. Except that was the only way you could do it or Power Rangers or any of the other tokusatsu. It can be done.
Yeah.
It's just it's expensive to do, even on a shoestring budget, to make it look right. And yet they are doing this solely not because not for the sake of the art form of what the audience is going to see, because they're going to still do a post-production pass and put in CG laser eyes and extend the bark to where it's actually louder and see the shockwave and see all these cars blow up. This is an expensive television production. I don't care how good the ratings are. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which came out after this, which is also a big-budget superhero television show designed to go on primetime television, and at the time had a lot of, especially for first season, had a lot of stuff going on. Just never tried any of this stuff. How much money is being laundered by the Bolt television show? That's what I would want to know. I know this is their big show, and they're big enough that Bolt and Penny, despite this show could have only been on the air for maybe 3 years. 3 or 4 years by this point.
Yeah.
It's on the water tower of this studio.
So it had to have been on at least for 4 years.
At least for 4 years. They're big enough that she hasn't even aged from when they took the picture of her.
Yeah.
This is not her as a young kid at the beginning.
Yeah.
This is her recent. So they just put her up there.
Yeah.
There's money laundering going on in the production of this show. There has to be. You talk about an interesting little subplot? That's your subplot. Granted, that's the fluff that Jacob was happy was not there.
Yes.
But I just say there's a lot you could do with this. Because from a logistical point of view, the show existing and good night, the merchandise sales must be astronomical to be funding this show if it's not a grift. You know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed. But
yeah, my first dislike is, good night, this is not how television is run.
Oh, agreed.
You would not do this. It doesn't even make logical sense. I don't care how much of a artist this director is. Mm-hmm. This is not how dogs work. This is not how dog acting works.
That is true.
Ever. There's a reason it's not done that way, and that's because A, it's expensive, B, PETA would be not PETA. Who's the animal? The people who always say no animals were harmed in the making of these films.
Oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Anyway, that organization would be on their butts.
Oh yeah, easy.
Every day for the mental trauma they are causing this dog, because Bolt is mentally traumatized whether he knows it or not.
Right.
Because he literally thinks all this is happening, and to the point where. No, it's not actually PETA, Artsy. It's somebody else. It's like the Humane Society.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because PETA would be doing actually far worse things. PETA would be on their butts, too. Have you not seen what PETA does for Pokemon?
Oh, gosh. You're not kidding. For an animated series.
For fake animals.
Yeah.
Because it promotes
violence.
Animal violence and all this other stuff.
For human entertainment.
Yeah. It's like... Yeah, so PETA would be on their butts too. Maybe that's why Disney never made this show, because it would come up. No, they wouldn't have done that, because PETA may be stupid, but they ain't that stupid.
Right.
They'll go after Pokemon because Pokemon has money. But yeah, it's just unrealistic. I know what you're saying, Drew. It's a cartoon movie.
Yeah,
they're allowed to be unrealistic. You know what? I'll give you that. But here's the thing.
Yes.
Even this concept must give way to logic to a degree. Now, granted,
yes,
in the course of the film, I let it go. It's just me thinking about it later. It's like, No, they wouldn't do this because that would be way too much money. I don't care how much money they're making off this show. But anyway, what's your second dislike?
So kind of going into your same little rant, your little dislike, your versus like, be like, looking up, be like, okay, how old is Penny in this film? Or at least she's portrayed as.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's a teenager.
Yeah, she's like 12, 13 years old. So she's like a preteen. So to take that perspective, that Penny would have been probably like, if we're thinking this is like a 4th season, and plus be like, dogs age rapidly.
Yeah, I
mean, like you go from a puppy to an adult within a year and a half, or at least a year, and with a white Swiss Shepherd.
Well, and here's the thing: we know Bolt is at least 5 because it's 5 years from when Penny adopts him at the pet store to the pilot episode. Yeah. They don't say what season they're in because they're showing the pilot episode at the beginning of this.
True.
So if this could be 8 or 9 years. Bolt's an old dog.
Yeah, it'd be like he's a 5-year-old. Most likely he's a mini. He'd be like he could be a full grown white Swiss dog.
Bolt is somewhere between 5 and 8 years old.
Yeah,
in this film.
he's an older dog for most likely what I'm thinking, because I've looked at pictures of white Swiss shepherds. They're gorgeous dogs. They look like a husky. But at the same time, be like, when they're fully grown, they look like an adult German shepherd. So most likely Bolt is a miniature white Swiss Shepherd.
And that type of dog would have been, in 2008, the fashion. Because that's the era of the toy dogs that we always see.
Yeah,
like toy poodles and toy
because he would have been that kind of dog.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he'd be a toy-like dog. But at the same time, it's just like, it makes zero sense, because if we're talking at least 3 to 4 seasons, so the actress of Penny, because
granted, they would have had to replace Bolt fairly quick anyway at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Bolts would have been getting too old.
Yeah.
How do you handle that with... And let's face it, obviously, the show jumped the shark in the last scene of this film.
That is true.
So this show's not going to have much legs left. But...
Yeah, because Penny would be like, if we're talking 3 seasons, we're talking at least 3 seasons coming up to that, because it has 4 or 5 seasons by this point. So Penny would have, but it had been like 7, 8 years old, because if we're going past the age of like 12, 13 years old, be like, you're going to become a teenager.
Yeah.
So unless be like they were planning to replace the actress before that.
And the dog.
And the dog, because you would have... Because you couldn't have just one dog, because you have multiple dogs.
Oh yeah,
there would be multiple dogs. Like it's trying to do more of a cohesive story.
They already had a Bolt secondary character because he's in the thing. He just can't do. He just gets scared of the special effects.
Yeah,
because he didn't grow up with them.
Yeah,
that's the way they show it in the film.
Yeah, exactly. But the logistically of this movie, it'd be like, it makes no sense. Because they're like, oh, we have to keep the immersion of the dog. Be like, you're going to have 5 dogs. That's what every show does. But
do you know how many Lassies there were? Yeah. And how many Ren 1010s? It was not one dog.
Yeah. They're getting
the Lassie that made the publicity was not the Lassie that was on the television show.
Right. Right. But like, understanding
now, Flipper, that was always the same Flipper.
Yeah, it was a dolphin.
Yes, it's a dolphin. No one cares about dolphins.
Well,
actually, I don't know. Do not quote me on Flipper.
Artsy, don't do it. anyways, be like this. I mean, I just like, logistical standpoint, this makes no sense, because obviously you would have other stunt dogs, dogs who do this. Be like, it wouldn't be one single dog who's doing everything. Because PETA are like the people who are, against cruelty of dogs.
The Humane Society.
Humane Society. Nah, that word. Humane Society would be having a cow over this movie.
I'm going to Google this right quick, because I am actually curious about this company, this organization.
Right. But it does make sense to be like, logistically, this would be a headache. Because you have everybody, coming down their throat on everything they're doing.
It is the American Humane Society.
Okay.
That ensures that animals in filmed media are treated humanely and safely.
Yes. I do agree with you. Be like, logistically, it makes no sense to have one dog and one little girl who's doing all her stunts at the age of 12.
Child labor laws would force you to do special effects with somebody else. Because you can't put any kid in that sort of danger.
No,
not even a stunt double. You'd have had to do something. I don't know how you'd have done it, but you had to do something else to handle most of these special effects. She wouldn't be in those shots, and then the Humane Society would be on you for the dog because there are logistical issues. With the concept of this.
Yeah, the concept of the show itself.
From a creative point of view, I get it.
Yeah, it's great.
But at the same time, Disney made this. Disney knows what the rules are for live action stuff. They have live action animals in their show, in their movies and television shows, from time to time.
But let me
ABC does too.
Yeah, let me argue the point. I think for this, because they are going with. Because Bolt believes he is a super dog. He believes he lives in this world.
And that I will say that is the issue. If you try, if you go
break it down logistically,
if you go down the road we just went down, you don't have a movie.
No, you don't.
So I can granted, in the midst of watching the film, I did suspend my disbelief about all this stuff.
Right.
It's me sitting back later on, going, what do I not like about this film that I can talk about on the podcast?
Yes.
That makes me go, hey, oh, wait, this is not how television shows are filmed. This goes against every way that television is filmed.
Yes.
This is fantasy about television, not actual television. Okay.
So, my second dislike for this film.
I thought we were on your second dislike.
No. I was just kind of bouncing off of yours.
Okay, what is your second dislike?
My second dislike is, again, this had a tight release date, and they didn't have much time to... Because they're going to be like, some of the animation doesn't look quite done yet.
Yeah,
definitely
it did need an extra month or two of polish.
Yeah, so the scene I am referring to, going back to my first, where I'm nearly crying on or coming to tears
with all the smoke particle effects.
Be like, I'd be like, with the scene itself, I didn't notice that. Now, granted, be like, if I'm detaching myself away from my joy in this film, I probably would have noticed, but I don't, because I'm so invested in this episode, this particular scene. But the scene where it shows everybody outside the studio, oh wow, the facial animations on these characters, or at least the modeling, looks just rough. And I mean rough, not rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's rough,
and that's actually a problem with most of the extras.
Yeah, most extras they didn't do a lot of polish on them, but like they used a certain particular character design for all the characters.
Yeah. Granted,
it didn't work sometimes.
Granted, I have seen worse.
Oh yeah, much worse.
But you don't expect this kind of... You expect higher quality from...
Oh, yeah.
A feature film by one of the big five.
Yeah.
At the time, the big five.
But in general, I mean, like you do have... There is the scene in the trailer park, or the RV park. Be like, most of the humans, they are done fairly well. I think just that one scene behind the studio during the fire... The humans don't look the greatest. Now, I do want to point out, now granted, this is not a slight at this person at all. I love this man to death. So, Penny's agent.
Oh, I hate this character.
You're
supposed to hate the character.
No. Be like, let me. Besides his horrible personality, let me ask you this question: Who in the real world that we both know, who does this character remind you of? Physically, not as a character, just looks like in general. Because I watched this film during this review.
I'm not placing who you're thinking about. I'm sorry.
White hair, spectacles, always wearing a suit.
You're not talking about the pastor, are you?
I am talking about the
'Cause
pastor.
I don't make that connection. I'm sorry.
I get it, but it was like
I kind of follow where you're going, but man, is that loose?
it is very loose. It is very loose because I was thinking like this kind of looks like Dr. Mike, our pastor at Central Baptist Church we both attend. I was like, personality wise, no, but like the general character design is like, see, it kind of looks like a pastor.
I thought you were going to mention the fact that he was animated like a broken animatronic.
Yeah, I agree. He's kind of like a broken.
That's like, this is actually the main antagonist of the film, even though he's not in like most scenes, and yet he is animated so poorly.
He is animated very poorly, but I think I do like his character design in some ways. But yes, his character frame needed a little more work. But with a year and change to make this film, I can see why they did that.
Yeah,
but yeah, like some of these characters look kind of jank. I understand, be like they're animated well, but they weren't that third pass of polish.
Yes.
Was put upon the character. So, yeah.
So, I mentioned in my first dislike the logistics are a little, they take a lot of faith to accept, right?
Right.
There's one I can't accept under any circumstance. That is actually, I think, something they should have thought about that doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. The lightning bolt on his flank.
Okay.
They say it is applied by a makeup artist.
Yes.
Now, granted, this is what Mittens is assuming happened. Yeah. And we do see that it does wash off, and he's able to rub the lightning bolt thing off.
Yeah.
What did Bolt think was going on when he would have been in the makeup chair is the wrong term, but when they would go to put that on him, what would he think was actually going on? Did they just think did he just think they were at the vet? Was this done while they were doing like his checkups that he would have had to have gone through? Did they have the Dr. Father doing this to keep him in universe? How does this work in the universe of the television show that they have to keep the dog immersed in? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I completely understand what you're talking about.
Everything else, you know what? I can take with a grain of salt and move on. Go, this is what happened. This is why they did it. Is it logical? No, but I can kind of I can move along with it. Mm-hmm. But by in-universe logic, what did Bolt think was going on when the person was drawing that lightning bolt on his butt?
Okay, fair enough. Let me. I'm going to go from a different perspective. So I'm going to take the approach that the lightning bolt was applied when maybe Bolt was asleep or something like that, to where he didn't ever notice. Or like he would notice and be like, oh, it's there. Never consciously realizing that it's makeup or it's applied.
You raise a good point. They could have gave him a tranquilizer pill so they could do any of the veterinarian stuff. Including painting the lightning bolt on there.
Yeah.
Granted, I hadn't thought of that, but that does make sense. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think that is indicative of like. Granted, I know Bolt is a very intelligent dog. Mm-hmm. You're telling me Bolt never saw or smelled any of the people who were working on the show?
That is, I do agree with you. That is a little bit of an odd thing to oversight from the creators, that Bolt would never like. Maybe here's another one. Maybe
they admittedly never go into whether or not Bolt has super smell or something like that. But he's still a dog. Dogs have amazing sense of smell.
Agreed.
And this is just something that has crossed my mind because I was thinking, okay, yeah. The lightning bolt could have been applied when he was asleep through a sedative. Sure. But that is indicative of a level of thinking that perhaps the creators of the movie had not thought about, for the creators of the show would have to deal with, a logistical thing the creators of the show would have to deal with in universe. Yeah. That granted, I have no idea how you would take care of this story beat in the movie.
Okay.
I will admit that.
So,
but there is and I don't want to come across like I'm just beating this one point into the ground, because this is admittedly part 2 of my first dislike in a way.
Okay.
But it's just that if I think this is a result of the fact that they had 1 year to take this from pretty much from concept to completed film.
Yes.
And everything they have to do in that. They didn't have time to really think about this sort of thing, so they didn't have time to throw in a random line saying, they use a sedative to put you to sleep to paint that on there.
Yeah.
Oh, they all wore or something to the effect, because this is the kind of thing. It's like I could see the lady from the network saying, "So how does the dog not smell any of y'all?" Oh, we put on this scent that the dog that masks the scent of all the humans, or we somehow downplay it. Anyway, it's you don't have time. You didn't have time to even think of that issue. Mm-hmm. So of course they didn't have time to put it in there. Granted, we talked about how much we loved the how tight the script is, but there are like small little details that would have made the world feel bigger, deeper. Because in so many ways, even this film feels like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Okay, fair enough.
Not in a bad way.
No.
But this is still supposed to be a feature film.
Yeah.
I expect in any feature film, that's got money behind it, that this world should feel a little thicker than this film does. It should feel. I still want this to feel like a real world. Yes, we are seeing the world from the dog's point of view.
Yeah.
But we are also. and if it was only the dog's point of view, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Because obviously they would not have answers for some of the stuff. But there is there's at least a quarter of this film that we see to a degree from humans' point of view, and that part is the part that feels like a Saturday morning cartoon, and I think it is a detriment to the whole thing. For all intents and purposes, Dr. Calico might as well have been the villain throughout the whole thing and was just pretending to be an actor for the show, and it would have been just as much sense in this.
Fair.
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm reaching to a degree because, I guess what I'm really trying to say, my second dislike is this world just feels a little more shallow than I think it should.
Okay, fair enough. Completely fair.
What's your third dislike?
I don't have one.
I feel like I should.
You feel like you should
I feel like I should have a third dislike, a nitpick of some kind. Okay, I don't hate Rhino.
Okay. I remember you talking about that.
I do not hate Rhino, but I don't like Rhino.
Okay.
He's an annoying character.
Hamster.
He's supposed to be the comic relief. I get that.
Yeah.
He's supposed... I did not like him in the commercials.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what... You want to talk about memories of this film? I have memories of watching television and commercials for this would come on, and every commercial would end with Rhino going, "Let it begin! Let it begin!" I'm going, "Let you get eaten by the cat! Mittens, sick 'em! Eat the rodent! It is your destiny. You are its predator. He is your prey. Eat Rhino."
Oh my gosh.
And it's not that Rhino's a bad character. He's just annoying.
Yes, he is kind of...
But I get that's part of the reason he's there is, to a degree, to be annoying. Because that's just how he is. Because he's supposed to basically be the child character. And children are sometimes annoying when they're like this. I get that. At the same time, it's like, oh, if you get eaten by a seagull, I wouldn't complain. It sounds horrible, I know.
Yes.
It's just I don't like this character. I put up with him, but I don't like him.
So, in defense
even though he is the one that convinced Mittens to actually be a good friend and go, because he went to go help Bolt. He went to go help all these. He helps Bolt. He helps Mittens, pretty much without thought of what is going to happen to him. So I appreciate who he is as a character, but it's
Yes.
like, day to day, you would drive me insane, you stupid little rodent. You thing. But anyway.
I'm going to come to.
I don't know how I'd rather him be written. It's just I don't like the
going to come
character.
to the character's defense.
Fair enough. That's what that is. We are based on rebuttal.
Yes, we are based on a rebuttal. So I'm going to come to the annoying little rodent's defense and say that to use an example, because
He's the Olaf of this film.
not quite,
But
No.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same type.
Let me explain. He is more of a Olaf from the second film. Because if you were to use the example of Olaf in the first film, who literally just spouts what's going on in the scene and does nothing else, just makes very, very terrible puns the entire movie. That's one of the downsides of the first film. We've already reviewed that film.
Yes.
And twice. We've already reviewed this movie, that movie twice. That's one of the downsides because the way Olaf is written in that film. I would go more to Frozen 2 because he's more of a developed character. With Rhino in this film, he is he has a character, he's a more fleshed out character. Yes, he is annoying because he's a fanboy. Because he enjoys the TV show. He adores, he worships the paws of Bolt, thinking he's the real super dog. And so it'd be like he's acutely aware that Bolt is a character in a TV show. And he has found his courage. He has found his not his ambition, but rather his the ability to be brave and to be courageous in things. So I do find with Bolt himself as a character that he is the super fanboy who gets to live out his fantasy of being with his hero and kind of growing into his own character in a way through the actions and deeds of his favorite TV character.
That is fair.
Okay.
I will say that my real issue with the character Rhino is not his fanboyism, as I am guilty of such fanboyism.
Okay, fair.
But I have seen fanboys in other things that have been given time for their character to develop that Rhino does not get.
Okay, fair enough.
So perhaps more accurately, the reason I find the character of Rhino annoying is because he is just the fanboy archetype and he's not given the time to be a full-fledged character other than, oh my goodness, it's Bolt, I'm a Bolt fanboy, I get to live life with my superhero friend and da-da-da-da-da-da. Thinking, you're on a journey with this guy for a year, for not a year, but I mean across the United States of America. You have spent
a couple of days
to weeks with Bolt and you have not come down off your fanboyism yet?
But I think he did.
He does to a degree.
He does to a degree.
But at the same time, it's still... And granted, at the end of the film, he does feel like a different character when they're on the couch.
Yes.
So obviously, he has had time to calm down and become a normal... Hamster and understand, yes, this is Bolt. He is not the character on TV. It's still cool that I get to hang out with him every day because now he is literally my best friend. I can't believe I'm best friend with a famous celebrity who played my favorite superhero on TV. He still has that, but at the same time, it does feel like he's mellowed out a bit. I just wish that we had I wish we'd gotten more of Rhino as a person and not as much as a fanboy, I guess.
Okay.
It still comes back down to the world has a bad tendency at points to be very shallow.
Oh,
because
agreed.
they did not have time really to do a lot of fleshing out.
Oh, I agree. That's
granted, that same thing is what allowed it not to have the fluff that you talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
How tight the script is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the downside of that is that the world is very shallow. I miss the fact that they weren't filming in New York at the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't think about him being shipped across the country.
Yeah.
Because it looked like the same town. Because they didn't really flesh the visual difference out at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were in LA. And granted, it makes sense they'd be in LA. It's television. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
but they never showed them actually filming in LA. They showed the studio, but didn't show it was outside the studio until Bolt was coming back to the studio at the end of the film. It's the fact that it like I said, filmed from the animals' point of view completely. I let this pass because the animals aren't going to understand a lot of this. They are creatures living in a world controlled by people they can't understand.
Yeah.
But because we see so much of this from human perspective also, it gets too cartoony in such a way. Again, I like cartoony, don't get me wrong.
Fair.
It's just, even Looney Tunes has a deeper logic, a deeper world than this does.
Okay, fair enough.
Not by much. It doesn't need much, because they're only like 15-minute shorts.
Yeah.
But that, at least, even as goofy and loony as all that stuff is, feels like there's an established world.
Yeah.
This does not feel like they had time to establish the world.
Okay.
And Rhino being basically fanboy archetype for most of this film.
Agreed.
I think is also indicative of that, because this feels like a character they wanted to have in there, but they really weren't 100% certain what to do with him other than have him be this and be the guy who saves, who helps Bolt, save Mittens, is the one who would get Mittens to follow him to follow Rhino to help Bolt in LA. Mm-hmm. Those are important parts of the film, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But outside of I'm the fanboy and this is what you do for friends, and being the one who gives the power of friendship speech, that feels like that's all the character development this character got.
I do.
Or if there is more character development, it is so subtle that it's almost not noticeable. Now, granted, I'm not coming at this from the view of loving the film like you are, because this is still I understand this is one of your favorite films. Yeah. Me, this is like mid-tier, for being honest.
Okay, fair.
So I maybe I'm being too hard on it. I'll admit that. I'm still amazed what they were able to pull off with this film in a year of production.
Okay, fair.
But if we're talking about what I prefer in a film, even the Lego Movie felt like all those characters had development.
Okay.
All the original characters. I'm not going to get into all the side characters because that technically wouldn't count.
Right.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh,
it's I want. It's not that I think Rhino was poorly done. I just think he could have been done better.
Okay, fair. I do agree. Be like, since this movie does have an extremely tight script, it's a beautiful script. But like with what they had with Rhino as a character, they did make him more of an archetypal, typical.
In most cases, I'm not asking for a rewrite. I'm asking for a scene, a line, something to make me go, make this character go from I find you annoying to I find you endearingly annoying, if that makes sense.
Okay, I do.
Then you go from you're an annoyance and I don't like you, like Olaf in the first film.
Okay, fair.
But even in Frozen, the first Frozen film, there is at least the fact that he has that scene with Anna. Yeah, where he says some people are worth melting for.
Yeah, that was a good scene. Do you not get me wrong?
That's what endeared me to Olaf.
Fair.
Was that scene. It's like he went from being this annoying character I did not like at all to being, okay, you get one. Yeah. And then, while I still don't like him as in general, fair, through both films, at least I understand his point of view and why he is the way he is and can kind of accept him more and at least enjoy his comedy, even if I think the comedy, he stays on it too much. Rhino, on the other hand, never gets the closest thing he has is when he says that's what you do for friends. You go and help them whether they ask you for help or not. Yeah. And that does help a little bit. But it just isn't quite there. And like I said, I'm just asking maybe for a line, a scene, something that make this character endear himself more to me for who he is. Yeah. I'm not asking for me to go, oh, I absolutely love this character. I don't absolutely love characters. Yeah. There are characters I do love, but it's like, okay, yeah, you have this problem, you have this problem, that's good for storytelling. This is that character. This is that type of, how do I put it? Did you see the 28 the new Power Rangers film? The one with
yes.
What's his name is Zordon. Anyway,
I'm aware.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The Alpha in that is not the Alpha from the original show we watched.
No, of course not.
And granted, Alpha's not exactly a very, in general, he's not a very deep character. He is a robot helper.
Yes.
His job is to go, not teenagers. That is his job.
Right.
He's that kind of character. Dudette, I love hanging out with you guys. I'm going to go kidnap children for our Christmas special.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens in Alpha's Magical Christmas. But
yeah.
Beside the point, you get to that movie, he doesn't even have, that Alpha doesn't even have that much character development because he doesn't have time. It's not a main character.
Right.
His job is to be Zordon's assistant.
Exactly.
But I feel like to a degree, I feel like that's Rhino worse. That makes sense?
Okay.
It's like the character. I don't know what you do with the character to make him better.
Right.
I maybe the Alpha 5 thing was not even a good example. I'll admit that.
Right.
But I just want. If we're talking about things, when we're looking at the movie critically,
yes,
I am not saying change anything. I'm saying my personal preference for this film. I wish Rhino was a little bit more endearing.
Okay, fair enough.
And a way you would make him more endearing, for me anyway, is to just give me more of who this character is. I get that he's an archetype of fanboy is fair.
Right.
Let me know who he is under that, because granted, I'm a fanboy. I am of that archetype to a degree. I have geeked out on this show as bad as Rhino. But that's not who I am. I am more than that.
Yeah.
I want Rhino to be more than that. Granted, I know from what they had to do, they didn't really have time to do what I'm asking.
Agreed.
And like I said, this is a downside of the short. When you're talking about what they had to drop to make this film in a year, they dropped your fluff.
Yes.
They also dropped chances to work in more character development to make the characters better than what they are.
Yeah.
Bolt is perfect. Mittens is perfect. Rhino could use some work. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Rhino could use some work.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I do agree that with such a tight script, they did flesh out Bolt. They did flesh out Mittens,
Which they needed to. Those are the two main ones.
That's your two main characters that are interacting most with each other and with our audience. So with Rhino, I think he just got the short end of the stick. With such a tight script, you had to make some sacrifices. So I think Rhino as a character,
we are in agreement with that.
We really are kind of in agreement with this in a way.
I don't hate the character. I just that's the problem. If we're actually talking about the problems with the film, Rhino not being fleshed out more is a problem.
Yeah.
Do I suggest remaking the film and fleshing out Rhino? No.
No.
We don't need to do that. The film is fine as it is.
Yeah.
But, as artists, we are used to critiquing films.
Right.
Or critiquing things.
Right.
We brought that to the podcast for critiquing films. When you see something, you bring it up. And Rhino, admittedly, I don't think I had thought that much about him. But I got to really thinking I was thinking, okay, what's my third dislike? Well, the third thing I dislike is Rhino. But what's wrong with Rhino?
Yeah.
In reality. He is this, but at the same time, I think that's not my real problem. My real problem is that he's only this, except for one or two lines that are just... that I want more from this.
Okay.
I want more. Great, we didn't have time for more. We didn't have time to develop more. We couldn't have made it fit in the film more. It's just... is what it is.
Okay, so let me bring this up really quick.
I'm trying to actually also move us from this point.
Oh, I know, but this I just
I don't want to beat the dead horse.
I know. I want to bring this one point up because you brought it up. So you brought up the point of Olaf from the first film. There's that one enduring scene where he does have that interaction with Anna.
But it's a very endearing scene.
It's a very enduring scene.
I would say. I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but I think. But just to clarify my position. I don't think Rhino's scene in this film that's similar is as strong as Olaf's.
Okay, fair. Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's as strong.
Okay, fair enough.
Olaf, because like I said, in that moment, Olaf went from being the annoying character I wish would get taken out by a snowplow.
That is fair.
To being, okay, I still don't like you. I still think you're annoying. However, you are endearingly annoying. You are not Jar Jar Binks. Because Jar Jar Binks is an annoying character.
Fair.
And but you're not Jar Jar Binks from the movies. You are Jar Jar Binks from the Clone Wars.
Fair.
I still don't like you, but I can put up with you a lot better because I at least understand your character.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair. So yeah, I do agree with you. I think there's might be some slight differences here or there, but I do agree.
We're gonna have differences of opinion.
Yes, we are gonna have differences of opinion. But yeah, I think it's a good point. I think that if they would have spent a little more time, given maybe a line or two to like maybe we'd have fleshed his character out, but there again was such a tight script, and you have these two main characters, his development as a character to where it stopped here and never got progressed as a character because you had to focus so much more on these two other characters. So
because if we're being honest, the only scene I felt that really got into who Rhino was as a character was in his introduction scene when he's flipping through the television stations.
Right.
Love the fact that it ended on 18.
Yes, I agree.
It was hilarious because I go, that's not Mr. T, that's B.A. Baracus.
Yeah.
In fact, the closed captioning actually labeled it as B.A. Baracus.
Yes.
I'm like, you know what the B.A. means, right, Disney?
Yes.
But it's like, okay. But the thing is, he enjoys television characters. I get that. I get that.
He's a fanboy, yes.
He's a fanboy. I get that. It's just, I want more of, and great, he is stuck in this trailer park and doesn't get to go on adventures, and he's finally getting to go on an adventure. Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yes.
I want more from this character.
I agree. I think we're in the same boat.
Just give me, even if it's just, give me more of this character's insecurities as a person, because he's never gone on something like this before. Yeah. And that will make him being super excited to be a Bolt fanboy.
Yeah.
Be stronger. I would understand his point of view more with how much he likes Bolt.
Okay.
And not just be fanboy from Freakazoid.
Okay. Fair enough.
I want it to be more than just making fun of fanboys. I don't think that's what they were doing.
Okay.
I'm thinking that's what you're in danger of coming off as with this character.
Okay. So
I just want more. I just want him to be more fleshed out.
So here's a question. Did you ever watch the Super Rhino short?
I have not watched Super Rhino.
Okay.
I will admit that, and that considering it's called Super Rhino, I bet it fleshes his character out a lot more.
Okay.
For even if it is mostly a comedic thing with him running around in his ball. And granted, I mean, he does try to save Bolt, not save Bolt, but hold the thing up while being underneath the thing. And it's like that's a good thing for his character, but also he's not really proven he's that intelligent. He may actually think he's helping a lot when in reality he's kind of getting himself into trouble, is what that comes across as, because they haven't really pushed him as a character.
Yes.
Made that endearing. They haven't made the annoying endearing.
Okay.
It's the best way I know how to put that.
Okay, fair. Okay, I think like you said, I think we've beat this subject into the ground. But a third dislike, I don't have one. So going into our score for
we do need to rate this film.
Yes.
What are you rating it?
I am rating this a 9.5. To me, it's an instant classic.
I'm not surprised.
Yes. So what are you ranking this movie?
I'm giving this a 7.5. Do not kill me. Do not kill me.
What?
I don't hate. Hush. Sit, boy.
Do I look like an Yoshi to you? You are definitely not coming.
You're not letting me talk. First of all, I do not have the absolute love for this film you have. I know this is one of your favorites. It's not one of mine.
Fair.
I think it is very well done.
I say this playfully. Blasphemy, I say.
For how much time they had to make this film, I am amazed.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I think there is, when I say it's 7.5, I'm saying this is good enough. I would watch it again on the, maybe not fairly regularly, but if someone said, hey, let's watch Bolt, I would not say no.
Okay, fair enough.
Would I go and search the film out to watch myself? Probably not.
Okay, so
I will go and watch the Super Rhino short. And you know what? For fairness, I'll record a short by myself on it.
Okay, there we go. That'll work.
That's probably the most fair thing.
But
if we're talking about this film by itself, my personal feelings, like I said, I still have these little issues, minor issues that are dangling issues. I don't hate this film. I want more of it. I say I want more. I wanted this film to be more than it could be.
Yeah.
That is fair. To be.
Now,
so yeah, it's still good. It's just not Tangled good.
Okay.
It's not.
I get that.
It's not Wreck-It Ralph good.
Okay.
Or Big Hero 6 good.
Okay, that is completely, utterly fair.
You said utterly on purpose.
I did. I used that very intentionally. But it's
on that note,
you're welcome.
Next week,
yes,
is Easter.
We're off.
We're taking Easter off.
Yes,
forgive us. Good Friday off, I should say.
Yeah, Good Friday.
But the week after that,
yeah, we'll be back.
We are going to be back, and we are going to be going in. We're going down another lane of experimental filmmaking.
Okay,
in a way.
Oh,
with Super Mariamation.
Oh, that's right.
With the movie based on the television series Thunderbirds. We're going to be watching Thunderbirds Are Go, which Jacob is probably going to look at me like I'm a nut for suggesting this film.
Hey, be like I'm always up to watching something different.
I'm just saying, these characters' performances are wooden for a reason.
Yeah,
because they're made out of wood.
Oh my god!
Join us next week for that. In the meantime, on the other side of these bumpers, we are going to be reviewing some Batman. So join us for that here in just a bit.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Because I enjoy torturing Roy, this episode we suggest checking out the Retro Rewind podcast. Because Roy loves Disney.
Oh yeah, we know that.
Every other week you can join the Retro Rewind pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establish what is still worth your time today, and you can expect fun banter and true insights from Francisco and Paul and a rotating cadre of guest hosts who are all out of time. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: the Ruiz family, which is Ashley and Francisco Ruiz. Hey, Roy. PaulGPowers.com and the Monster Island Film Vault. If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes, you can donate $5 to us over on our Patreon, or for $5 more, for a total of $10 on that Patreon, you can force us, within reason, against our will, to review a film of your choosing. We still have 2 films. No, my bad. We have 1 film left to pick. I forgot that technically one of them is called for, even though he hasn't paid his money yet. And one I'm waiting on 2 for payment, but they are spoke for. They just hadn't paid us yet.
Oh, okay. They're on hold.
They're on hold. So currently we have 1 free and clear completely. If you want us to review something of your choosing, and hey, here's the other thing. You want to come on this show? You want to guest host on this show to review this thing that you love, that you want to make us watch? You can do that.
If you want
to. We'll allow you to do that.
Yes.
All you gotta do is pay us 10 whole smackaroonies for a month. Or just give us a $10 bill, whichever works. It's the same difference.
Yes.
$10. And we'll watch it and we'll review it, and hopefully we won't kill you. I'm kidding. That's not where I'm going. But you can do that on Patreon. Also, check out our Redbubble store where we can buy merch, t-shirts, different things featuring Jacob's
Coffee
art.
mugs.
Comic books?
Coffee mugs.
Coffee mugs. That makes more sense.
Yes, coffee mugs.
I was like, going, comic books? Is Redbubble using AI I don't know about? I don't think it's going to be that good.
It's like, well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, technically, if you wanted a commission with a blank cover, be like,
Well,
I can do that happily.
That's when you go check out Like an Artist over on his channel,
Yeah.
his Twitch channel, and go check out his Patreon, his Facebook Messenger group. What's it called? The Wolf Pack?
Well, Like an Artist Wolf Pack.
Like an Artist Wolf Pack. That's your Facebook page?
Yeah, it's my Facebook page.
And you got a Facebook chat through that.
Facebook chat through that. Yeah.
Right. Go do that.
I post art almost every day.
This guy is fun. It was fun getting him set up because he did some weird things and trying to get it set up.
Yeah, just like I actually called people twice accidentally, but nuance.
Oh yeah, and instead of making a Facebook chat, group chat, you invited people manually.
I did,
which is not how that works. But either way,
nuance.
You're trying. We're getting you there.
Live and learn.
Hanging on the. Okay, moving on. Go check out his stuff. Plus, check me out on Tuesday nights for some Untangling Kingdom Hearts. I did some grinding for levels this last week. I am actually going to be getting episodes out because I'm going to be doing some editing this weekend.
Gotcha.
I do mean that.
He seriously means he's going to edit.
Seriously mean that I got to do something while I'm baking that apple pie.
Yeah, I've got to finish a cover art before I go to another wedding. So
you're going to a wedding tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay then. Join us on all these things, and please, we love your support. Also, I haven't promoted this in a while. If you want to email us, cellcastpodcast@gmail.com. We do get emails on that.
Yes.
Send us emails and stuff. Or just join our Facebook group.
Right.
That too. Or Discord. We have Discord too. Jacob has a Discord now.
I'd have a Discord.
So yeah. All the socials, all the new age socials. I think we barely use Twitter, and we do technically have a TikTok.
We do have a TikTok.
I haven't used it much, but we do have it. But is what it is. Anyway, go do the things, chat on our stuff, be awesome. Cell Nation, hooah.
Hoorah.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. There is a song the good folks sing.
All right. Batman the Animated Series. We are looking at Night of the Ninja.
Ninja. Rap. Ninja.
Go Ninja. Go Ninja. Go. Wrong thing. Although Batman has fought the TMNT. So, this is production order episode number 35, broadcast episode number 28. It originally aired on October 26, 1992. It was directed by Kevin Altieri and written by Steve Perry. Cast for this one includes Chao Li-Chi as Sensei Yoru and Robert Ito as Kyodai-ken, aka the Ninja. In this episode, as a young man, Bruce Wayne studied martial arts in Japan under Master Yoru, and he earned the enmity of an unscrupulous rival, Kyodai-ken. Years later, Kyodai has come to Gotham City to humiliate Bruce by stealing from Wayne Enterprises. Not realizing the connection with Batman, he winds up attacking Bruce in the company of reporter Summer Gleason. A clever bit of maneuvering allows Bruce to keep his identity safe, but the ninja escapes to fight another day. Trivia for this episode. You want to guess what the name Kyodai-ken translates to in English?
I have no idea. Go ahead.
The big sword.
The big sword.
Apparently, the name was chosen to sound Japanese.
Of course.
And it does sound like it would be a Japanese name, right? They didn't bother to translate what it meant. They just knew Kyodai sounds cool. Ken is the last name you hear in Japan. This sounds good. It means the big sword. During the training scene, it can be seen that Bruce Wayne is a black belt while Dick is only a green belt.
Okay, makes sense.
A subplot is that Dick's attempt to try and gain some recognition and more respect from Bruce, something that Bruce Batman is not known for. Trying, for example, in the training session, which appears to be a belt test, he requested from Bruce to prove he is worthy of a higher rank than a green belt, also attempting to get a thank you from Bruce for saving his life from the ninja on the rooftop of Wayne Enterprises building. This sort of happens in the end, as Bruce tells Dick at the end of the episode during breakfast that it would have been difficult, maybe even almost impossible, for him to defeat the ninja without Dick's help. Dick receives this almost thank you with a smile, knowing how difficult just getting this out of Bruce is. The subplot also seems to hint at their falling out as partners, which would come years later due to Bruce's tendency to forget about the emotions of people that work with him. I mean, he's got to become Nightwing eventually.
Yeah, he does.
But what are your thoughts on this episode?
It's a good episode. There again, I don't think I remembered this episode fondly as when I was a child. It's a good episode. It does give more of Bruce's background when he left Gotham to train to become, the Batman he is today. There is one scene I thought was very odd. It's between a younger Bruce and his sensei, where it's like his Bruce is up training, and be like he has this almost like of a temper tantrum of be like, but I have to be the best. I have to be the best. But the scene goes nowhere. It's just more like Bruce throwing a tantrum because he has to be the best. And the scene ends. So it was like, that's kind of weird. I wish they would have fleshed that out again. But
so to rebut.
Oh, you're going to rebut it.
I'm going to rebut this.
Okay.
I think this is all you needed because this is not Bruce. This is not just him at this point.
It's not modern
in vacuum.
Yeah.
This is a young Bruce that we have seen. We've seen the older versions of Bruce with already having dealt with. We've already had 3 episodes dealing with his family.
Yes.
Being murdered.
Yes.
We had a couple other episodes that have already dealt with Batman as a character and his weaknesses. We just got off of the Robin episode which also dealt with
amazing.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
But it also dealt with Batman dealing with how he is with other people, even though it's primarily Robin dealing with, his feelings and need for revenge. Mm-hmm. Honestly, when you go and think, okay, yeah, this is Bruce as he's young, pre-Batman, who is training to be Batman, knowing full well how he was the night before, what his actions, what his feelings would be, whether he's wanting revenge or not, because it's not really showing what he wants. He does still want to train to be better so that he can be whatever at this point he thinks Batman is going to be. So him wanting to be the best, so that can be the best crime fighter, I think actually fits. Okay. I think you can read enough into it from what we know of Bruce as a character that we don't need more than just that one outburst, because that really explains what Bruce was going through at that time. Yes, he is losing to Kyodai-ken.
Okay.
But and technically he loses even when we get to modern day where he's fighting Kyodai-ken as a ninja.
Yeah.
He still loses. He only wins and succeeds because he had help from Dick.
Right.
And he even admits that, which is already growth for Bruce.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, because he's used to being the lone bat on this.
Yes.
I think he said lone wolf, but he's not a wolf. He's a bat.
Yeah, he's a wolf.
Maybe a wolf bat. Anyway.
Ow. Flap, flap, flap.
So, yeah, I get what you're saying, how you wish they would have done more with him in that moment. Mm-hmm. But I think it's like, I think
it wasn't necessarily.
I think their point was shown, and it would have been maybe hammered in too much with what we already know about the character.
Right.
In the context of the show.
Okay, fair enough.
Granted, this is 1992 or so within the first year. It's very possible that this could have been easily many viewers' first episode.
Right.
So, that bear in mind.
That is fair. It is a good episode. It's a good episode where we are introduced to this ninja who wants to destroy Bruce because
He does come back in another episode.
He does,
apparently.
and to me personally, it's a better episode.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's good,
or I haven't seen it in recent memory.
Yeah. Because again, I got the box set from a friend, and I just binged the entire thing, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. But this is a good episode because you do get Gleason. She has a bigger role.
Yes, she actually has a role in this one.
Yeah.
So many times she's just the annoying reporter.
Yeah, she's more in the background, but she actually has.
But she actually has a role in this episode.
Yeah.
She's actually doing. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No. Be like she does have an agenda. She is doing something. She's trying to uncover a story because she's doing a reporter's job. Because other than that, you have this the dynamic between Bruce and Dick, and Bruce wanted to do it on his own, but he realizes he can't without the assistance of Dick Grayson, and. I did enjoy your comment of where this starts a fissure within their relationship, like with Robin's Reckoning. There is kind of a fissure that starts, and that does culminate later on. I think in season 3 or 4.
Well, one of the things I never realized
in season 4. I'm sorry.
One of the things I didn't realize until this watch through is that the Robin in this is not fresh Robin. He has been Robin for 5-10 years by now.
At least at this point 5.
Right, at least. And the only reason he's not in most of these episodes that we've seen up until this point is because he's off at college.
Yeah.
So we get Dick in this, and I think the first thing that I notice is that this is the most we've seen Dick Grayson out of costume. Mm-hmm. He's more out of costume in this than in his 2-parter where he was, a kid for most of it.
Yeah.
But adult Robin, we see more of him as Dick Grayson in this. We do. And threw me because, we're actually getting into Dick as a character in this Batman episode. In this episode, it's really a Batman episode.
Yeah.
But we're also getting a lot of... I think that's what threw me is because I was expecting... What I was expecting as we were going into this, what I assumed...
Yes.
I know it's bad to assume, but what I assumed was there was a bunch of episodes where it was Batman only, and then he would save Dick Grayson, and then there would be this little back and forth, and that would be the case until near the end of this run, where obviously he might leave and go off to whatever the name of that town is, where he becomes Nightwing.
Yeah,
Bloodhaven. Sorry, I had to think. It's like, what's the second darkest name besides Gotham in the DC universe? Bloodhaven. It's Gotham City, but worse.
Yeah.
But, where was I going with that? That's what I was expecting that to be. And the fact that Dick's just not been able to participate as much.
Because most of it he's off of college.
He's off of college. That does make sense. And he's only able to do... That even explains why... And I think I brought this up last week. That explains why he was in the Christmas episode early on and then was gone for a long time. So it's like, oh yeah, of course, he'd be home for Christmas break. So he's helping Rob. He's going off with Batman to do rounds as Robin because that's what you do when you're in the Bat family. Yeah, and you're home on vacation. Mm-hmm.
You dress up in the costume. You go fight crime.
And you go hang out with your brother. Because I still think honestly this Batman and Robin I see as brothers, not his father-son relationship.
Oh, okay.
That's just how I'm looking at it.
Okay.
You don't have to agree with me.
I don't necessarily agree with you on that, but okay, I see your point.
I see it more because I'm also thinking of it in terms of the movie we watched last week.
Oh, okay.
Where there's a different relationship we saw between Damian and Bruce in the movie than we saw between Dick and Bruce in the film in the episode.
Yeah, but also in that fact, be like that. What I want to call him Dwayne.
I also get that he raised Dick from that point, so there is that too. But I kind of look at it as like the older brother raising the younger brother because the parents can't.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
I gotcha.
But it's all beside the point.
Yeah. Overall, I think this is a good episode. You do get this more of a cliffhanger with
It was an unintentional
Kyoto.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, it is a very unintentional
because they
cliffhanger.
intended to kill the character at the end. They intended to kill Kyoto again at the end of this.
Yeah.
But standards and practices said you had to be more vague about it. So that's why they had him jump into the water and disappear. Which
Yeah.
admittedly is far more martial arts film than just killing him would have been.
Yeah, fair.
But there's so much martial arts tropes in this episode. It's so much fun. I love the part where Kyodai-ken does the whole slash of the sword and then does the whole thing where he puts it back in, and then you see the water tower start to slide off. It's like, ooh, we went full martial arts film with this.
We did.
We're just missing Kyodai-ken going Super Saiyan or something. But it was so much. This is such a fun martial arts stuff. The ninja feels like it just fits Batman's character in this.
I'll agree.
I still was. I know. I recognize that Ra's al Ghul is going to come up later because I did Google. Is Ra's in this episode? In this show?
Yeah,
and he is later. We're not far from it.
Yeah,
but I will say I was sitting there watching this episode, and they're going, okay. Obviously, Batman trained with this ninja, and we go to the flashback, and we're seeing them doing that. And I'm thinking, and I'm watching. Go, is the Master Ra's al Ghul? Is the Master Ra's al Ghul? Granted, forgive me, I was introduced to the character in memory during Batman Begins.
Okay.
You can understand why I'm thinking of him as maybe Bruce Wayne's martial arts master.
Oh, yeah,
because of that. But that's not how this is going to work. We'll worry about that when we get to the episode Off Balance. That's the episode he's in. But oh man, this as a ninja martial arts film, this was just such fun to watch.
Yeah,
it was dark where it needed to be. It was goofy where it needed to be. It was. You could tell they studied this before they actually made the episode. It is that on point. And I think that's one of the reasons I do like this show is that when it is good, it is good. Excellent.
Yeah, agreed.
Unlike our next episode.
Yes.
Which, because that's the other problem.
Fever.
When it's bad, boy, is it bad. Cat Scratch Fever. Production episode number 36. Broadcast episode 33. This is the final episode that Sean Catherine Derrick was involved with, though she was just the story editor on this, not the actual director or writer. She was just doing her job as the showrunner, basically. Not the showrunner, but the story editor. This is also the final episode that ACOM animated. They actually sent the whole episode back to them and told them to reanimate it. Because the first trip didn't work. That's why it's so late in the run. But yeah, like I said, this originally aired on September 5th, 1992. It was directed by Boyd Kirkland and written by Buzz Dixon. In this episode, on probation for the events in The Cat and the Claw, Selena Kyle is prompted to don the mask once more when she discovers an animal drugging scheme run by loathsome entrepreneur Roland Daggett and his disreputable Dr. Milo. When Catwoman is infected with the lethal virus by her own cat, Isis, Batman must take on the bad guys and secure a cure for before Catwoman succumbs to this cruel malady.
Yes.
There is no new cast in this episode, really to speak of. Trivia for this, the subpar animation qualities of the episode led to the South Korean animation studio ACOM being fired and couldn't continue their work on the cartoon series. This is the second time in a row that Catwoman appears to save Gotham from a plague. First time was in the two-part episode, Cat and the Claw. The title comes from a cat scratch disease, usually known as cat scratch fever. When Lucius asks Bruce if he thinks Daggett's up to something, Bruce replies, "That goes without saying, doesn't it?" This is almost identical to a conversation Bruce had with Alfred in the episode Appointment in Crime Alley, where Bruce says, "Roland Daggett's up to something, Alfred," and Alfred replies, "That almost goes without saying, doesn't it, sir?" Also, to really put a point on how bad ACOM...
Or put a pin in it?
Wrong movie. But to really put the point in, to really put the cat's claw on the mark as to how bad ACOM is as a animation studio, Did you catch what the sign on the outside of Daggett's pharmaceutical lab said as Batman was running from the dog?
Oh, it didn't read.
Daggett. There was a space on this big giant sign. It's like, whoa, that's an animation. Even the South Koreans should know that's not English. They should have. That can't be how it was on the storyboard they got. And oh man, is the one of the thugs? I can't remember his name, but he's the big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big guy. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Character's name. But his animation. There was once the scene where he's going into the warehouse and the snow falls on him, and because he's unknowingly Batman's behind him and accidentally bumps some snow off.
Oh yeah.
I didn't recognize that was that guy.
His animation.
Because he looked he was so off model.
Yeah.
For the character in this episode, he looked entirely different. His eyes, that was normally like major episode character eyes, with the iris and the cornea and all the thing, was just the black dots and 2 lines. Like, you didn't finish trying the character, Acom. I know it's only a few scenes, but come on. Acom did so poorly in this episode. And I understand why this is the one that they were fired on. Now, they actually still had some episodes in production for Batman the Animated Series after this. And according to what I was reading in the trivia from Bruce Timm, who absolutely hates this episode, by the way.
Fair.
Apparently the quality went up after they were fired.
Huh.
And he says, I guess they'd never been fired before.
Apparently.
But yeah. I'm glad if this is the last ACOM episode that we're going to actually major ACOM episode we're going to be seeing. Because like I said, they had to send this back. It's like, oh. But anyway, I can see why this is not liked by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini.
Right.
Because they didn't like Catherine Derrick's work on the show. Because she only had like 10 episodes. And unlike the other ones, this does seem like more like she was trying to do a regular episode.
Right.
And not trying to push some social message like she tried to do with some of the others. But at the same time, this is
it
a
doesn't look
drag.
good.
Now, I will be saying, this is actually an episode I actually had memories of from when they originally came out. Because I remembered Catwoman's lair that they show in this, because I remember thinking, why is there a giant statue of a cat that she can just hide out in? Like, this is 60s era Batman.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
That's a lot. But also I do remember that the final shot of this where she's cuddling with Isis after Isis, and the shot of the basket lowering and Isis sticking her head out. I remember thinking that was sweet.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, because always been a cat guy.
Yeah.
But oh man, this is such. Otherwise, this is kind of such a poor episode. I really want Catwoman to get a good episode, and I'm hoping it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Because Catwoman's not like the greatest character, but she is Batman's love interest in general. So
right.
I want a good episode for her. A good character development for her increases Batman's character development just as much as good villains do. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
I just did not like this one. There were animation errors all throughout.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. Well, this is one. This is certainly an episode of the series. Not a good one.
Fair. There's like you said before, like there's animation errors galore in this. The story itself is kind of bland. Be like, okay, Selena Kyle be like, she's given promotion, she can't don the Catwoman. The thing that got me was more that she has these encounters with people who are trying to take cats, even though she doesn't quite know what they're doing with these cats. She does assault them, be like, yeah, they're told this, and be like, oh, be like, you're trying to steal these cats. Be like, well, the cats are not owned by anybody. They're just strays.
You can't steal a stray.
You can't steal something that's not owned by something.
And granted, the thugs had an out because you can't prove that they weren't picking the strays up to take to the pound, even though they are not animal control.
Yeah, they're not animal control.
So they technically, legally...
They can't do that.
They can do it, but it's probably not wise for them to do that.
Probably not.
Unless they were doing something untoward towards the animals.
True. But, yeah, this is kind of it's not a really good episode because, like, Selena is scratched or cut or bit by ISIS, and it's just more of this, oh, we have to find the antitoxin. Oh, the shenanigans pursue with the bad guys, and what's his face?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Daggett really just like he's in like
he's such a generic villain in this.
Yeah, that's it. Be like he's not this guy who gets away with it.
He's not the Daggett from Appointment in Crime Alley or from the Clayface episode.
Yeah,
two-parter. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah, because all of his is be like, oh, because I'm gonna make this. He's gonna
set off a virus and then make money on the antitoxin.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, the Joker could do that and be fun about it.
Yeah,
you're just a normal dude. Can't you do something good?
Yeah, there's no. I don't. Is Daggett even arrested in this episode?
No,
nothing.
Daggett's not even there when the other three get caught.
Yeah.
In fact, we don't even see the other three really get caught. We just see he gets back to Selena, and then we assume he administers the medicine.
Yeah.
And then we see Selena back in her apartment talking with Maven.
Yeah, because
and then you get the scene with Batman returning Isis, which, that's sweet.
Yeah.
He had no reason to do that, and good night. Batman must be the world's greatest detective if he can catch a cat in Gotham City amongst all those strays. But yeah, this is such a paint by numbers. This feels like it's a paint by numbers plot that they use the wrong colors for.
Yeah, agreed.
So it comes out, it's like, I see what you're doing. You're not quite there. You could have done a little bit more work. But anyway, yeah, this is not the greatest episode.
Yeah. I do agree. It's kind of a paint by numbers. It's not that very well done of an episode. And let me look real fast. What is the next episode we're actually going to do? The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne.
Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, and If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?
Yeah.
I'm assuming Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne is actually a not Doctor Strange, that's a Marvel character, but the...
Hugo Strange,
yeah. And we know Hugo Strange generally figures out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. So
yeah.
That could be an interesting episode.
Could.
I don't know about If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? But we'll see. Could be good.
Could.
We're also coming up on the episode I hated seeing coming up because it played too much when I was a kid in a couple weeks. But we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
I was just looking through going, oh, that episode. It's not bad, but I got annoyed by it.
Fair.
Because it played so often.
Fair.
But anyway, join us next week in 2 weeks, I should say, for Thunderbirds Are Go, along with The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne and If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? But in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we will catch you in the next frame.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes. You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or X at @cast_cell. Follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, The Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On, and remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Cat scratch fever.
Maybe in a better episode.